Look. I have a pretty good idea of like who's doing the next 8 majors. For me, it's less about like the TO that's hosting them. It's more about the locations.
Yeah, of course it is, Chad. Must be nice.
Well, you can, I don't imagine to be working all of them. I just mean like it doesn't.
Why not? You've been doing all of them so far.
Between the major 3 TOs.
You're laughing at Jason over there.
Like he wasn't ready, but we're back.
I was ready.
You were ready.
Yanko, you ready?
Yeah.
All right,
sure.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't have a choice, do I?
Now, do either of you know how to get my DayZ SA launcher to download the mods?
No, I have no idea. I've lost a lot of information in that part of the universe.
So listen, guys, it's a long story. It's about DayZ, and it started at the beginning of this year. Now, we have to go back to a time which predates all of this. There was a bunch of servers that are called Aftermath DayZ servers that are all community-based servers, and we used to play Namalsk. It was great. It was great fun. But they stopped doing Namalsk as a map because it was a community-made map, and the people who hosted the servers couldn't charge for prio queue on it, which mean they wouldn't make any money, so they stopped hosting that, which kind of sucks because the way that they had that server formatted, we loved it. Sure. So we moved on, guys. We moved on. You know how life goes.
You had to.
You wake up every day, you think to yourself, Aftermath, Namalsk, I'd love it. But it wasn't there anymore. It wasn't an option, and it wasn't a possibility, and it's something that we had to move past as a group. One day, and I'm a big DayZ content enjoyer. I like fresh spawns, I like the Running Man Z, I like JLK's videos, as you guys know. And I saw the fresh spawns were actually streaming a map called Avalon, and it looked pretty nice. So I found the server and joined it. We had a great, merry old time with about 5 or 6 of us. Harry was there, Jay Raz, Rushley, even Azia, ex-professional Counter Strike player, now coach of FlyQuest, semi-final at a major. You know, we were there, we were having a good time. We were terrorizing the spawn town. And a guy came past because we were just absolutely prawning everybody. And he goes, "Is your mate cheating?" And he was talking to Jay Raz, and Jay just jokingly goes, "Yeah." So they took that clip, they took it to the Discord, and then me and Jay got banned from the server. There's the first drama, boys, right?
That's huge drama.
So now,
side note, do you know where the name Avalon comes from?
California?
It's an island from the King Arthur legends. That's all I know about it.
All right. Well, the map is based in California. That's why I guess California. Everything good comes from California, Jason. Graham Newsom. Is it Graham? Gavin. Anyway, all that great stuff. But the long and the short of it is we got banned. So I had to go into the Discord and I had to pull this like, lol, I'm not cheating. Like, hi, this is what I do in the video game space. You know, I kind of had to pull that card, and I didn't want to pull that card, but I also wanted to play the server because I'm having such a great time. So they said they unbanned us. However, the data that is cached on their server will not let us create a character. So for the better part of 2025, we've been unable to play, me and J-Raz. So today, I've bought it on another Steam account so I can try and play, but now the DayZ SA launcher won't download the mods. And that's the story of my life right now, guys.
That's fucked up. That's a long journey to just hit an obstacle that feels insurmountable, I would imagine, at the moment.
I don't know how to get past it.
That's what you get, Chad, for betraying Counter-Strike, honestly.
No, but
you're not allowed to play any other games. Like, that's the price you pay.
Look, to be fair, I agree with the sentiment. Now, if it was any other first-person shooter that was in the similar realms as Counter-Strike, like Valorante, I would agree wholeheartedly. DayZ is a survival experience. It's a much slower game.
That you think they're in the same sphere.
It's not tactical. It's nothing along those lines, right? It's just a game that you're basically surviving. So I feel like it's so far removed that I'm allowed to play it every now and again.
Is Rush still Battlefield 6? Is Rush still the ramp manager on the server? He's letting people come through his ramp. He's like checking for documents.
Rush ain't doing anything these days, mate. That guy's fucking lost the plot. That guy has absolutely lost the plot. I've never seen anybody become more of an everyman than him. And you two had kids, and he's still out everyman both of you two. He's gone. He's fucking off the reservation. Really. Yep, it is what it is. There's nothing we can really do about it.
Where does Battlefield 6 fall into your tier of the first-person shooter games that we're allowed to play?
It falls into the tier of this game will last for about a week, and everyone will stop playing it after that. So fill your fucking boots while you can.
So have a great time for this week.
Yeah, you were offering keys for it, and I was like, I'm not going to play this shit game. And then Rush was like, let's play Battlefield, so then I fucking bought it anyway. So, you know,
you should have
just
taken
some money down the Swanee.
Yeah.
That's the way
we
goes.
we do occasionally get perks, and thanks to some very kind people in the industry, I was able to get my hands on some keys. I played with my brother. It's exactly as you said. Everyone was telling me it's like fucking awesome, and I went in and I was like, this feels like every other Battlefield and Call of Duty game I've ever played.
What mode did you play?
Just like the 32 on 32, like attack, defend, and then also just like the King of the Hill things where you capture the points. I mean, I'm not any good, and I don't look into these games at all. But it's exactly what you said. I'm gonna play it for like a week or two. It's gonna be a good time. Gonna complete the campaign. Probably gonna be a fun story, and I'm gonna forget it ever existed.
There's some scalability to it where like, you have to get your levels up to get different attachments for guns and shit. And I have no interest in learning any of that or leveling my weapons up enough to be that, because I know it's not pay to win, but it's play to win, right? Like.
It's a grind to win.
Exactly. Not everyone's on the same playing field with it.
And like I said, it's play to win. Like, what other way is there?
You know what I mean, right? Like Counter Strike, everyone is on the same playing field. But like in some of these games, like Valorant and League of Legends, you have to pay to unlock characters, right? Or you can like level up to get there. It's kind of like with this, you have to level up to get your weapons to a certain point. Until you get your levels to a certain point, you just feel like you're getting absolutely crushed. So there's a level of like geek specking it out, and it's fine to just run around, you know, with the boys on a Friday night, and
it's
that's
fun.
it.
Squad and try and take over a base, get blown up, play little military action. It's fun. Role play a little bit.
Role play a little bit. Jeez.
Yeah. Oh, I'm down. Resurrect me. I've been hit. Sniper on the hill. You know all that shit. It's
fair.
Fun.
There was
tell me.
Yeah.
When you play with your brother, Jason, is he the medic or does he switch up and like goes, you know?
My brother fancies himself he fancies himself a sniper, but he's more of just like
he's cool like that.
I know, but he's more of like a grunt. He's like grab the rifle and you push up the middle and you clear things out.
First guy off the boat gets hit by the machine gun fire. Like, thank you for your service.
That's what he is in this kind of a game. Counter Strike, he's the fucking calm, chill IGL. I'll give him that all day. In this game, it's don't use your brain. Go for it. Go party.
But that's the thing with any other game that's not Counter Strike. The level of interest isn't there, and if the level of interest, like of intensity, is not there, then you just fucking zone out and fall out of it, right? Like that's what happens to me anyway.
Like you're playing 32v32, you know, free for all and stuff. What keeps you attached to Counter Strike is the 5v5 replayability of it, and the fact that you need your teammates to win in a way, right? Like and. That it can be it's the same maps, but it's kind of different every time.
Well, let's also be fair to our listeners who play other games. Is I'm sure there is a certain level of that if you get deep enough into the game. We just always play the surface level shit with these games, which is fine. I'm sure there is some element of it.
If you get 32 guys
nothing.
On TeamSpeak.
No, but I think they have like 4-on-4 modes. You know, like they have smaller squads.
There is like 8v8 and that type of stuff.
But I don't think it's. I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna make any comments on it. I don't know why I'm sitting here defending Battlefield. Counter Strike is the fucking shit, and it destroys every other game.
I think
I'm not saying those games. I remember I played the first Battlefield. Like we were kids then. We were going to LAN cafes and stuff, and it came out, and it was like crazy. Like you can fucking fly a plane, you can drive a tank, you can do all this shit like in one game. Like. Yeah, great, but then you realize this is there's also about, you know, there's something about the simplicity of Counter-Strike, right? Like, I think that's also the draw of it. Like, this way you get, oh, man, I don't want to, there's a plane, there's a helicopter, there's all this stuff. Can I just, like, run around and, like, can we all just have, like, a smaller map and, you know, just have, like, 2 bombs? That's kind of cool. That's kind of fun. Let's do that.
That's essentially Call of Duty, though, right? Like, I think it's similar in the sense that it's just like constantly respawn, don't have to buy guns and stuff. When I look at these games that come out, obviously we're Counter-Strike purists through and through, and I wouldn't even consider myself a quote-unquote gamer, right? Like, I would always play something other than Counter-Strike. Like you'd play Dota or whatever, because that was the thing people would play when you're chilling out after practice and stuff. I would say I've probably played more games in the last 5 years than I have over the course of the rest of my life. Right, and that's because hanging out with Rush and stuff, he wants to try all these other games and shit. So we're playing like Valheim and stuff. Some of those games can be fun. I'll play for an hour and then I just go and refund back on the store. I'm like, what was this fucking waste of my time?
Problem for me is like I like to play other games, but not multiplayer games. I don't play.
Yeah, you love single player story games.
Yeah,
I'm into that as well. I go the same way.
You know, I absolutely. You know, imagine I tried like this game. Trace was raving about this Delta Force game. It's like, I can't play like new FPS games and start from scratch and learn the mechanics. Like that sucks. Like I want to be, not saying I don't know how, but I'm better than your average player in Counter Strike, by a good margin. So I want to have that, when I get into these games. I used to be able to play, Dota, but even now, Dota's changed so much with these patches and everything. Honestly, I don't even have the time to do it anymore, but that would be it. I would play Counter Strike in Dota. That's it. Everything else is just single player.
Also, I'm the same way where I just do the single player shit. But I mean, I think for me, it's because like my gaming experience started on the Nintendo 64. Yeah, exactly. But like literally all the games back then, like outside of 4 people that you play in your house, there was no multiplayer. So I'm used to video games that I want video games that tell a fucking story. Like I like, Ocarina of Time. I like games like that actually have a story that you go through. So that's what I do.
It's like interactive television.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Jason, what were you up to in your week off? And me and Chad were still on the grind.
Family shit. Spending time with the kid, doing work around the house, hanging out with the dogs, tuning into CS during the day when I could. Hard to watch CAC because the game started at like 1 a.m. I was able to catch some VODs. I was trying to bounce between like VODs of trying to keep tabs on Liquid and then watching some of Thunderpick when it was on in the morning. So, I mean, it was just...
I didn't watch any of CAC.
Yeah, I can't imagine you guys would have been able to with your workload on top of it. So, yeah, that was weird trying to watch like 2 interesting high-level events that were going on at the same time, although obviously different time zones as well. But it was weird.
I think, right, you picked a good time to be at home. You guys are both back in action this weekend, right? You got to fly soon, Jason. You fly tomorrow?
I fly tomorrow.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Flying out to Bucharest.
And then Yank, I imagine, on Friday. Much closer.
Yes, well, I'm going like night between Friday and Saturday, so I get in on Saturday and save my Schengen days as much as possible. But yeah.
Are you guys going to do a podcast while you're there?
Yeah, we'll do an episode over there for sure.
All right.
Yeah. We'll probably just. We'll grab
Jason will
local.
Jason will have to pull a Harry and change the shifts around or something, but we'll figure it out.
So you already have
special.
Yeah, you're on the second one. I'm on the first one, but it's rolling schedule, so we can just do it after you're done. That's all right.
Yeah, we'll make it work.
We'll get someone cool like Dust to be a guest on it.
I was telling Yanko about I want to bring this up. I thought this was super cool. This was what I was reading when you guys actually got here and my headphones weren't working that I was so intently focused on because I just find it fucking fascinating. This is like this article came out like maybe like a week or 2 ago, and for whatever reason I just saw it recently. This Counter-Strike skins economy has reached a new peak, a market cap of $5.78 billion.
You know we're big skins
US
guys around
dollars
here, Jason. So
I know, but like we're not going to dive into fucking skins, We're like, but that's crazy, isn't it? Like that. Yeah, I can't be the only one.
What does that mean, right? Eli 5 me right here.
That means
that's a great question.
Value of all the skins that exist is that much, I think.
So all the skins that exist in the entire
that are on
world,
the market, or that are on the marketplace that are listed, not the ones
are
that
worth $5.78 billion.
I guess that's the only thing that I'm not sure about, whether it's all that exists or all that are listed on marketplace of some sort.
Okay, how does that compare to like a regular thing?
The NASDAQ.
Sure. The screen's just gone fully black. This is not good.
Almost $4
Small
billion.
fucking potatoes. $5.78 billion US dollars, which is 4.3 billion British pounds. Now, I'm getting this from Esports News UK website, and I think the data that they're getting it from is something called Price Empire, which derives its pricing data from Buff, a Chinese trading platform and the largest trading platform. So this is what really pulled me in, because this then got interesting, because the article is all about how a lot of the growth in like the skins market economy is due to Chinese investment, which like I guess we all knew on some level, just like colloquially hearing stories about things over the years. But this article is talking about like like the type of I'll just read this. The type of investments Chinese citizens can make is highly controlled by the state. So Chinese Counter-Strike players have turned to skins as a permissible form of investment. So there's wealthy individuals putting a lot of money into Counter-Strike skins and raising prices. And then there's also there's like pump and dumps going on like with it. Like, I guess this is probably not news to anyone who's within the skin scene.
Yeah, but you see what I don't understand? I don't understand one part of it is you can do two things with your skins, right? Because Steam money is Mickey Mouse money. As soon as you put money in your Steam wallet, you can't take USD out. So it's basically the NFTs and the whatever, the tokens.
Yeah.
They first came up with it. So what you can do with that is obviously you can like buy keys and shit or buy some other stuff and sell it, which is a pain in the ass. And you also take a hit on that to convert it, and you have to sell it at a lower price than Steam sells it on for it to be worth to people to get it. Or the second thing is you can go to a marketplace like whichever one that sells it for you for money, right? But obviously someone needs to be willing to pay money for that skin to buy it. I don't think like the market of skins, and I could be absolutely wrong, baseless claim, but it sounds crazy to me that the market in CS skins is that liquid, right? Where you could just put whatever, like let's say 3 million worth of skins on the market, and you would be able to sell them overnight, or let's say even in a span of a week, right? Like that sounds kind of crazy to me. You know, like because
to be able to move that many skins.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. To be able to get that money out, which is one of the, you know, more important parts of an investment is how quickly can you turn it to cash, right? Like that's what's taken into account. But I might be wrong about that. Maybe it's just so developed the market on, and I'm not talking about, you know, a person who's watching this wanting to buy a knife. I'm talking a guy who's going to go and spend $500,000 on skins as an investment, right? And then when he sees it hits 700K, he wants to sell it. But is there someone who's willing to buy it at 700K, right? I think
sure.
Everyone is buying up, like seeing it as an investment, you know, but once they actually want to sell, who's going to buy it then? That's where I'm a bit, you know, I don't think there's as much demand for it. Let's put it that way. But I could be wrong. I don't know.
I mean, it's funny. I mean, you're talking about it when it's reached like 500K, 700K. I still think it's kind of crazy that some of these things are worth like 5,000. You know, like that's even insane to me to some level and some extent.
I mean, my skins have gone up like, I don't know, tenfold. I have the butterfly Doppler, and the only reason I know about this because I have the Face It tool, you know, like the enhancer or whatever, and it pops up the most valued skin, and sometimes it's my like butterfly Doppler, and it's like, I don't know, close to 3K now or 2 point something, and I got it for like 200-300 euros on the market a couple of years back, maybe a bit more than that, I don't know, not more than 500, and I'm like, damn, that's 5x of what I put into it.
The EG Stockholm 2021 major holographic sticker was approximately €1 to purchase for most of 2025, but it rose to a peak of 350 euros in September, and then 1 week later the sticker dropped to 19 euros, losing 95% of its value.
Yeah, classic pumping them. That's the problem though. Once
I know,
have
but this
those
is
schemes. It's like now you get people from the real world, let's put it that way, right?
Yeah, manipulating the market.
To know how
to
scheme, right? And they just start scheming, they group up, start scamming people out of it because it's really, I don't even want to say it's a gray area. It's probably just straight up like fraud. But the problem is, whose jurisdiction is it? How are you going to, you know, if you get scammed that way, like who are you going to go to? Who's going to prosecute?
But it's just it's supply and demand, right? It's not the market's not regulated, right? So, and a lot of these,
that's what I would imagine.
A lot of these websites that are existing and doing it on like through bots or however else they do it with the inventory they have, that's essentially on them. Like, I don't know. I'm not. This is the problem on these topics. I have no fucking
woefully
clue.
uneducated.
I have no idea.
I didn't mean to get us into some deep dive. I just found this fascinating that it was worth that much money, and then the reasoning for why all this investment is happening, I thought was like a cool twist to it.
Jason, if I reboot and disconnect from the call, am I able to reconnect?
I believe so.
Okay, because my screen has just gone black. And I was trying to, on my secondary monitor, work out how to stop my screen being black, but I'm just looking at a black screen, and it feels kind of weird. Normally, I'd be looking at you guys as you're talking, and right now, it's just a black screen, and I'm like, I tried to drag your windows across to the other one. I can't even do that. It's just black. I don't know what to do.
Okay. We can also just stop here and start again.
Well, I'll reboot pretty quickly.
No, reboot.
All right,
we'll see how this goes. We should find out for the future.
Jason will edit it. Jason will find a way. He's the tech whiz. That tells you how advanced our podcast is.
How fucked we are,
Yeah. All right. Hope so, Chad. Right.
What else we got?
Nothing that captivating.
No, but that's perfect for while Chad's rebooting. So let's talk. The ESL announced the 2028 calendar. There's nothing interesting. There's nothing crazy there. Yeah, let's get things out and housekeeping done with.
Graham with the speculation that means they got the major.
I mean, I guess that's
again because they're missing one event.
Yeah, I guess that's the way to start looking at these like schedule announcements with TOs.
No, because
right?
it's only ESL that does it, isn't it, Jason? Everyone else, like when Blast has a major, they just put it on top of all. They didn't cancel an event. Blast, they had 2 opens, 2 rivals, 2 bounties, right? And they have a major on top of that. Of course, when it's the one company that I work with, will do one event less, just to
just
whatever.
Yeah.
No, but I mean I guess it's a good guess. I'm surprised that that's already set, or should I be surprised? Right, like we're going
that the majors are set, or that the 2028 is set?
Like that it's already.
I
guess it has to be 3 years. That's
yeah.
what they were aiming for. No.
I'm trying to remember what major it was we talked to Valve about it at, and they said that they wanted to get to a point where they were like 2 years ahead in terms of knowing what the majors were, which they had gotten to that point, I think, like pre-COVID, like right before COVID hit, and then that kind of wrecked things. So coming out of COVID, they had to like reboot and get back into getting that like 2-year advance. There he is. He's back. We got him.
Oh, it's working.
Yeah.
It's working.
Here.
How's your screen?
It's not black anymore, I'll tell you that much. Now I can see
That's
everything.
perfect.
I can see it glow.
Yeah, we're talking about ESL, the 2028 schedule being released, the speculation that they got a major, and then we transition into talking about Valve, how they wanted to be two-ish years in the rotation, the cycle ahead for majors. They wanted to have the majors planned out for 2 years in advance. So this is kind of like right around there. If I guess if that actually is locked in as a major, that would be about 2 years in advance.
It's essentially right. So when people hear 2 years, they need to think 4 majors, right? Just because like when people hear 2, it might not click. But I would say based off of the evidence that we had with the calendar for 2026, and I think it was the Cologne window being earlier, and it was overlapping with when the major window was. And now they've only announced 6. So unless they're planning on downscaling with events, which it doesn't look that to be the case in like other years that they've announced, right? Then you would assume that there's something going on there regarding a major. It would be curious, right, to see the distribution, because it's hard to tell with a PGL or a Blast, or especially something like a Perfect World or a Starlighter, because they don't have like a defined circuit in the same way. Like obviously Blast do. What do they run 6 events a year. So if Blast announced 7 events a year, and one of them was in a major slot, we know where it is, but you don't have to announce the major until like 6 months before, right?
Well, it's usually at the end of the previous major, the next major is announced, right?
Well, Cologne was announced during Cologne, right? Which made sense for ESL to do it like that.
Yeah.
But I guess whoever's doing the second one of next year...
Just hit my fucking...
The second one of next year could announce it whenever they want, right? Like you would... So... That's the thing. It just depends on how much lead time do you have. I have a pretty good idea of like who's doing the next 8 majors. For me, it's less about like the TO that's hosting them. It's more about the locations.
Yeah, of course it is, Chad. Must be nice.
Well, you can, I don't imagine to be working all of them. I just mean like it doesn't.
Why not? You've been doing all of them so far.
Between the major 3 TOs.
You're laughing at Jason over there.
I find it so funny. I never know how to come back. I never know how to come back at him for that shit. I'm glad Chad got some of it.
Thank God I got a kid.
But between the 3 major TOs, they all do like a comparable level of a job, right? For the event that it's going to be like a good event, right? It's more about like what type of location would you be finding yourself in for said event, or is it a place that we haven't been before in the Counter-Strike world, and what type of a turnout would we get from a fan base there? Because it feels hard to continue to explore like new options, because we've explored a lot of options and some of them have flopped and some of them have been all right, but we haven't returned to certain places. So it's curious to see what happens there. But,
well, I mean, I guess that fuels the next level of speculation too, because doesn't the missing date in the 2028 ESL calendar is normally where their North American event would be. It's normally where Dallas is going to be taking place, right? It's at like June-ish, July-ish.
Yeah, but this is where I would. This is
but
what
that's where I would be interested in being like, okay, does that yeah, they can go wherever they want for a major. Maybe they're going to do somewhere in Europe, but since it's taking the spot of the North American event, are they going to try and come back and do a North American event, or is that going to be a smaller event they run earlier?
It's also
Or North American major.
Why are you not double dipping in a way, right? I mean, the Dallas event is a success nowadays, right? Like it's developed fully, especially with the part of the DreamHack thing. What's preventing you of doing that plus the major? I guess
Renovations of the K Bailey Pudge.
I was gonna say
no. Okay, if it's that, whatever. I'm just saying, whichever event is there, why not do that event and then do the major? After?
Like a week later or something like that.
Okay, if you're pitching the NA major, then doing an event in NA a month prior or a couple of weeks prior. But Dallas this year was fine, even with Austin being around the corner. I don't know.
Well, it also depends. I mean, it's
I guess the task of having to organize such a big event as the major, you don't want to be spread too thin with running an event like a month before. Something like that, I guess, is what makes sense.
And then also location. I mean, big country, you could do a Dallas event and then you could do a major on the East Coast and you'd be fine. You know, like completely different audiences.
I think if it was me and I was ESL, I would want to do East Coast because you could get people flying in from Europe and the flight's not too fucked, right? To fly from Europe into...
And time zone is better for Europe.
Yeah. I would love it if we were to return to New York. I know that New York kind of fizzled towards the end there. It never really was...
New Jersey.
No, not neat.
Gabagoo.
How dare you, Chad? Thankfully, Yanko saved us.
It never really kicked off there, right? Like it was never, but I would feel for a major that, especially with the lead time, if they know that they have it there now, right? And they're able to lead into it and get advertising going early, it might be something that you could get going for a big scale event.
I feel like most TOs have been scared away from some of those bigger American cities, to be honest with you. Because they all come
costly
with
as fuck.
Man, yeah.
Expensive, and well, there's a lot more union rules they have to adhere to. Local union. I know that was the big deal with New York and Chicago with local with using local people, was having to fall under union rules and making it difficult for an esports industry that has long ass fucking days. So I know that was part of the headache. There was a while a few years back where I had like 2 or 3 different TOs reaching out to me to ask like my thoughts on what cities on the east coast of the country would be ideal for an NA major. So I'd be interested if how many of those actually got targeted, because it felt like for a while everyone wanted to bring a major back to NA and they were all looking at the East Coast.
Yeah, well, we were in New York, obviously, for some events. We were in Miami. That's one blast.
Yeah.
Great time.
Yeah,
there.
I don't think anyone's going back to Miami anytime
Boston
soon. I'll tell you that right now.
That's true, Boston.
E-League One.
Boston was
we've
great.
been to a fair number of places. We haven't been to like Philly or Pittsburgh or what else is on the East Coast. Is Pittsburgh on the East
Carolinas, the Carolinas were a big target for an event.
Yeah, Rally is the Rainbow Six? Is there?
Yes. Yep. Or MLG was doing
there
a
as
bunch
well,
of stuff
didn't
there
they?
as well. Yeah, MLG used to have a bunch of events in Raleigh.
I think that the other angle that I would look at is, so we're going, okay, yeah, they haven't scheduled, or the one that is normally over would be the North American slot, right? I guess they have to do stuff in the North American market because of sponsors, right? We're aware of that. But it doesn't mean that like one of the earlier slots couldn't be North America instead, and then this slot is something else, right? Like obviously it's not going to be a Cologne or a Krakow, but it could be Brazil again, right? Like that could be a possibility too. That's definitely something which could be on the agenda. So lots of speculation, and I know that a lot of people will hear that and they will immediately find themselves in agony. But you know that also has to be considered as a possibility.
Well, also especially now, Chad, considering they won 2 events in one day.
Sure, yeah. No, there wasn't even. Well, hey, I can't imagine the pitch was based off of them winning 2 events completely unrelated to ESL's circuit. But yeah,
if it's in 2028, Fallen will come out of retirement just for that one.
Yeah,
Fuck yeah, you will.
The real Last Dance. You'll be on crutches then. You know,
this time it's for real.
A never foreseen marketing campaign.
The quote, Last Dance, this time for reals, though.
Yeah. I think it's interesting, right? Obviously, it's curious that we don't have Valve pushing the TOs to give the announcements on the majors in the same window as with all the other events. But I was kind of thinking before we came to do this today, and I was like, okay, so what is there to talk about? Obviously, we have Thunderpick, we have CAC. Like those are the events that happen, but those we end up in the same type of conversations a lot. And You guys know that I like talking formats. I'm not here to talk formats right now, Jason, so don't worry about it. You don't need to get the whiskey bottle out.
I was pumped. I was ready.
I also love like big picture of Counter Strike, right? Because we while we're in the micro of seeing how like each team progresses and how the meta progresses and everything like that, we're also in the macro of like being in this space now for such a long time that we've seen how the scene's developed. And I was thinking about it, and I was just like standing back and looking. Okay, so ESL's announced this. You go to HLTV and you look at the calendar and you see all the events in there. And I remember a couple years ago, one of the biggest gripes that we had, the players had, everybody had out there was not knowing what the future was holding, right? Because didn't have enough information. That was probably one of the big things that I think people were taking to Valve as a complaint. It's like, we don't know what's coming next. And things felt much more jumbled and all over the place. Now we have like a structure in place. Sure, there's still issues within the TOR and, you know, tournaments stop running events and doing all those type of things. That crops up for sure. But those things, I guess, will get ironed out over time. But from a big picture perspective, we have like 3 main tournament organizers. We have a couple of other TOs that are like chipping in and, you know, running events with high prize money and of a decent scale. Like we just had this Thunderpick event. Fisher's been doing some good ones. Obviously, CAC is going to pop up every now and again. Yeah, but that's essentially like even though we know...
Are you talking more the tier 2 stuff?
Not really, no. I guess like we're aware of the particular difference between EFG and EWC, but the viewer just conflates them as the same thing, right? So for all intents and purposes, we may as well just consider them an extension of, even though the realistic case is something more complicated than that. But, you know, there's no point getting into the weeds regarding that. So anyway, the point that I was making was that we have like... We can look at a year now. Like I just did my calendar for next year, like a baseline of what I think I'll be doing in terms of events, right? I just did that up and I'm like, wow, like I have a pretty good idea of what my 2026 is going to look like.
Dude, oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
I was going to say I booked a trip for April next year while we were in Stockholm still. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I booked flights. I mean, yeah,
that's
just
huge.
A family trip, which is like, you know, going to Madrid for like 3 or 4 days. It's like, oh yeah, this is great. Actually, I have to leave like 2 days after, like the day after we get back or something. But this little part here, I have free. You know, let's do it. So it's definitely,
dude. That's 6 months in advance.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
That's baller as fuck.
Yeah, well,
congratulations. I feel a sense of accomplishment for you, really.
I think that there's a couple of key factors here, right? Like obviously we do a lot of the ESL events, so we're talking to ESL in advance of what's going on as well. But PGL also look to do that for 2026, right? Or the tail end of 2025 and 2026. So big respect to them. The 3 of us very rarely, if not ever, work for Blast. So we just kind of have their events and we're not working those events. So that's probably the most different for Jason out of the 3 of us here. I think for me, even if they asked these days, I would probably be saying no. I don't enjoy the atmosphere over there, to be completely honest.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, I'm not that sentiment, but I mean, it's been the same for me for at least the last 3 years.
You and little Dinklage are probably closer, you know, into getting in the rotation.
Perhaps.
I don't know.
I don't either. Ooh. We'll find out. We'll see. Well, that's one thing in the future that we don't know, Chad. That's one
depends on
some things.
Some personnel changes, you know, over there at Blast. Then maybe I don't know.
But
you know,
my point being, like, obviously we're talking about this from a personal note now and how it's nice from that perspective, but also just from like enjoying the Counter-Strike perspective too. Like I'm looking at the calendar, I'm going, okay, these events. And when I was doing Thunderpick, one of the key important details, and this doesn't happen on all broadcasts, which is a bit disappointing, but people want to have this air of self-importance that whatever the fuck that their product is the be-all and end-all at that time. I think it's really important as like the storytellers to convey as you're going what a tournament means in the context of the overall circuit, because the viewer's not stupid, right? You can't put lipstick on a pig, right? You can't shine something up that just is what it is. Like in terms of this Thunderpick event, it ran pretty smoothly. There wasn't really any issues. It wasn't an arena event, right? The only crowd was like VIPs. The prize money was sick. It was $850,000. I felt we were pretty decently looked after there. Obviously, the audio quality is something that I think that they need to look into for their next events. But other than that, I love the fact that it was just like a classic DreamHack Open scale. Obviously, the 4 qualified teams and the 4 VRS invite teams. I guess in the yeah.
Go on.
I was going to say,
I was going to take it away, but
take it away.
Your thought.
Take it away.
I was gonna say, like, I think a lot of this, if I'm kind of on the same wavelength as you in terms of like how when you go to an event, like what it means and how you're able to portray the story and the angle you're able to take with it. I think a lot of that comes down to the credit of TOs at the moment, because I think naturally now, it's not just because we've worked for them for so long, but because ESL's IEM events, Katowice, now Krakow and Cologne have been around for like a decade, like that existence of those events automatically gets that prestige, right? So like those events, you go into it and you know this is a defining event for the story of this player's career, right? You can draw conclusions, and this is a marker point of his career, of is he turning the corner, which path is he taking? When you get to these events like Thunderpick, there's a lot of money. It's very important in the short term, but you're not gonna define a player's career based off of that event.
No, of course not, but it can mark an important moment
Yes.
in someone's career or a lifespan. I was going to say,
Like Case Roto
I enjoyed
MVP.
I enjoyed Thunderpick, exactly this one, because it's also, you had 4 teams that were, you know, the 4 better teams and 4 worse teams, but the 4 good teams were close to each other, right? The 4 bad teams were relatively close to each other too. So when those teams play each other, good between the good, the bad between the bad, it can get kind of interesting. It got kind of interesting because the lowest seed in both groups won a game.
Yep.
You know, Imperial was last place, OG was last place. Venom and 9Z both won a game, which was kind of interesting. It's kind of cool to see them from day 1 to day 2, you know, how they switched it up and whatever. And also between the good teams, it's like, okay, the only unfortunate thing is, like, in this trio of Aurora, Mongols, and Furia, you feel like they played each other so many times where that gets kind of boring to some extent. But it was interesting because Furia did look like the best team in the tournament and the final start, whatever. So I think it's also important to have these tournaments in the calendar that are not running. You know, there may be one a year, right, for a number of things. First of all, for example, last year when the Mongols won, because of the prize pool, that's what propelled them in the VRS to be high ranked in the VRS, right? Which allowed them to get all the invites, which gave them a decent seed in these tournaments that they used, and that helped them to achieve good results. And then all of a sudden they were in the final of a major, and, you know, they're arguably one of the contender teams now, right? So it was a springboard for them. Probably a little bit for 3D Max too, because they were at that turn. I think they were 3rd place or something like that. Second of all is, like, the first Thunderpick was fully online in 2023. Last year, it was online qualifiers, closed qualifier online into 4-team LAN finals. Now it was an 8-team LAN finals with, you know, 4 teams coming through the closed qualifier and the other 4 being invited. So let's say next year it's maybe 16 teams. Probably not. It's going to be 8 teams again, whatever. But you get better teams. It keeps building up. They're delivering a good product. I mean, I don't know about the audio issue, Chad, because it didn't have sound in the green room, so I don't know how it was sounding on stream.
Lord.
There was a lot of peeking on the mics.
Whatever.
It was rough, but it created one of my favorite recent casting moments. I have to send the clip to Elige. It was the funniest, because it wasn't just the audio.
To Elige?
It was also, Machine.
Oh.
Okay. I was going to say, Elige he was in China, Jason.
Yeah, he was in China. Machine, that casting moment was so funny, but it wasn't just the audio. It was also, they kind of reversed how it's normally done. They went back to something we haven't done for a long time, which is have the diffuse timer. So the audience knows when the diffuse is hit or not. So Machine's moment when he's trying to, like, find a way to make that moment exciting, despite the fact that we all know what's coming, it was like one of the funniest I was laughing so hard. It's not his fault. He didn't do anything wrong. It just sounded so funny to me.
Well, I mean, it's easy to lose track still with that, right? But just to end the point on Thunderpick,
no, when
as well,
both monitors, Yanko, is like time left on bomb and time on diffuse, and you can clearly see they changed it for the last day, I'm pretty sure. But before that, the time that was left on the bomb and the time the diffuse was being stuck, you could see exactly.
So it had the timer.
Yes.
So it had, like, the numbers on it on both of them.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
had
yeah.
like
All
a
right,
number of seconds.
I guess I wasn't paying attention until the last day to that. But whatever. I was going to say lastly with Thunderpick is, like, when you have situations like Yala, Sky Esports, or I don't know if I should throw it under that bus, or Mesa, right? Like, some of these events that are being happen, don't happen, get announced, get cancelled, everything. Like, to have a TO that just is reliable, right? That's not the big 3. I think it's good for the scene. It's always good to have that extra competition, you know, in a way. And I think that's the reason why we had more teams this time around, because people saw how it went last year. Was like, okay, this is cool. I think you might have even more teams next time around, because you see how it's split between Thunderpick and CSC, especially if they run with in the same time as someone else, like it provides a great opportunity to get points in the ranking and whatnot in the VRS.
I agree. I think like the fact that these events, right, being at the same time, and I saw Graham like having a conversation, obviously, about this PGL Bucharest reschedule thing with going into Chengdu. The whole point is like, if there's more choice going on, these teams get to choose what they want to go to, what has more value. This is more land games, right? This is more prize money. This is in a location we want to go to. This one's too much travel. These teams get to make these decisions. Or we have a bigger fan base here. These teams get to make decisions based off of that. And I think having at the same time, you see kind of how that works out. And to have two tournaments without the big names that are obviously no Vitality, Mouse, Spirit, etc. At these events. You're still getting some games where you're measuring everybody up against each other. Like the grand final of Thunderpick was Na'Vi versus Furia, and they hadn't played against each other this entire season, or essentially since Molodoy and Yakinda had joined the Furia roster. So that's like a head-to-head that we haven't seen, and you saw it in a grand final. Obviously, the final itself was really one-sided on all 5 maps, right?
Yeah, that was so strange.
It was. It's really weird in terms of like the excitement ramp, right? Because it's like blowouts, and there were some moments, but otherwise it was pretty clear who was going to win each map. There wasn't a lot of struggle back in, but yeah, just the overall, I think that what they put on, was a pretty good event. I was like, that's what I was saying about the prize money. It's 850K overall. 60% of the prize purse went to first prize. Like that for me, that's how actually all events should be structured, right? I don't do the participation medal, boys. Like I feel like if you're going to win the event, you should be getting at least 50% of the overall prize pool. That's my view on how the prize money split should work. And a lot of these events, they don't do that. It's not like that at all. So is Jason talking? Did he mute him?
Yeah, we don't.
Did you touch the mic and mute the mic?
Well, for 1 second, his screen went black, and then he came back. So I don't know if that.
Who, Jason?
Yeah.
Fuck, was a tech issue kind of day, isn't it?
That was a minute ago, though.
It's a bit of a Buki Wednesday right now. He's trying to fix. Did he press it on the microphone itself? Because there is like a button on the mic you can press that goes red.
I didn't see him touching the microphone.
Oh, we lost him. But he's the man that controls the call.
Shit. Well, let's hope if he reconnects, everything's fine.
Oh,
we don't have to
start again. Yeah, remember everything you said, Yanko. I want it all word for word up until this point.
I think, Chad, well, actually, I was going to say the only thing that could make this event better for you is you had a PC in your room, but I forgot you live in Malta, so you just went home.
Yeah, that was one of the things that was nice. And Sam was there, and she's like, "Oh, isn't it weird?" And I was like, "No, it's actually kind of nice." Like, because when you're at home, and call time is in like an hour or something. It's like, well, I have an hour of things that I can actually do. Like I could do the dishes or do this. Hello, Jason.
Hey, you got me?
Yes, you're very loud though, and you're so loud we actually heard an echo. All right, that's better.
Nice. There it is. Look at him caressing that microphone.
You like that? You like that little?
Yeah, that was nice. Yeah, be careful, Yanko. You might accidentally mute it.
Yeah.
No, I'm fine.
And you don't have the same kind of finger dexterity that I have. I'll tell you that.
You could turn it up a little bit, Jason.
Well, you need to have something going for you, don't you know?
There it is. There it is. He's made it.
All right, we're back. Tech issue day.
Anyway, long story short, these events in the calendar and how we have a bigger picture, we can do markers throughout a year with what tournaments people are going to, what tournaments people aren't going to, how the matchups matter, where a team could build some confidence. That was another big story that I was kind of running with. The level of confidence Na'Vi could get from winning that event and beating Furia, the Mongols, as well as Aurora, right? The same thing with Furia. They had to beat all 3 other big names at a certain point in the tournament to lift the trophy, which is great. I like that. Everyone had to play against everyone who was good at the event.
And also, funnily, I mean, up until the final, Furia didn't lose a map, and for Na'Vi, every series was 2-1.
True.
Right? So,
yeah.
So, and it looked like they were going to sweep them. But what do you think about that quote from Blade's interview or tweet or whatever, where he said,
"We're not ready for a best of 5."
Yeah, we're not ready for a best of 5, and they have 4 out of the 5 players, for well over a year now.
There has been some positional changes, right, with Mikazi in there, and he does play key positions. Yes. So, to Blade's credit, he did do an interview earlier in the year that was like, the major will be our exam. So, if he's like built a plan for them to ramp up and be peaking by the major, then that's fine. I'll give it to him. That's okay.
I think the fun thing about Na'Vi to an extent too is like, I feel like this is like a continuation of the story from last year when they won the Copenhagen major, and he came out and said, And he came out and said, like, this all happened way faster than I expected. We skipped about 5 or 6 stages of the plan of like the outline that he had for how the team was going to progress. And I feel like now this year we're seeing them go through those 5 or 6 steps that they got to skip last year due to that peak of success, that peak of form, that whatever they had for those 6 months. Now all of a sudden you're seeing them have to go back through those things that they got to skip earlier. I think that's the struggle we're seeing with Navi right now. And I feel like the interviews with Blade over this course have been right on track. Like, I've actually been super impressed with the way he's kind of read the situation, in my mind at least, where Navi's now going through this phase. So when you say hopefully he has a plan, I imagine he just gets to execute the kind of plan they skipped from a year ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't think that it puts them in contender conversation even with the plan, right? Like, I understand the major is, well, maybe the major is a best of 5. I don't know. Maybe it is. Let's start that rumor, shall we, guys? The major final could be a best of 5.
I've heard whispers that they're going to drop it on us at the last possible minute.
Could you imagine?
That would be fucking great.
It would be nice. It would mean that we don't have to have any dog shit show match on the fucking Sunday. That'd be great.
I know.
Yeah.
I'd love to get rid of those.
I will say, though, I don't know if it's even early impressions anymore, man, but third place deciders still ass. Still absolute
Still
ass.
better than a show match, though, Yanko. And we know we don't need minutes watched.
We don't need them in a best of 5 final. We don't need a show match.
No, we don't. Yes, I tell you why we do. Because the TO sells on minutes watched, right? It's one of the things they sell to sponsors. If you can't guarantee that you're going to go more than 3 maps in a best of 5 final, they got to try and get the numbers up somehow.
And it's also a very easy thing to explain and sell to potential sponsors as well. You get a whole show match. You get an entire hour of Counter Strike gameplay dedicated to you.
You're talking show match. We're talking third place decider.
Shit.
Yeah,
That's
but
right.
I said, I did say, no, it's fine. I said we don't need a show match when it's a best of 5, and Chad said, yes, we do because of minutes watched. So I guess that's what.
I like third place deciders. I'm with you though. I still get the feeling that players aren't super invested in them, which I think is probably what makes them feel weird. I think the first time I think third, fourth place deciders will take off in the first time when like it has a real impact on the VRS. In the sense that, like, it has, like, a clear cut, like, we need these 50 points or we need this land win. When that story hits and the players get invested, I think that third, fourth place decider will be amazing and show what they can be.
But the problem is, and I agree, that's the thought, that I was thinking the same thing. The problem is the teams that get to that point, where they're now
usually
in the third place decider, usually that sort of a difference that you get, because the prize money is, for the most part, negligible difference, right? It's not 100K difference. I mean, if that were the case, then the players would be playing for the money, if not anything else, right? So that's the issue, is like, usually at that point in the tournament, the teams that are there, there's not that much on the line for them, even in the terms of the VRS, like all the stuff that you mentioned, which is why, you know, it loses some of its importance. And the problem is, if you do get a full 3 mapper into a 5 mapper like Thunderpick, then it's like a grueling day for
delayed the final,
involved. Like, it also delayed the final by an hour. But the final went 5 maps, and even though it was 5 one-sided maps, it still ended at like what, 11 p.m. or
I think it was like 10:30, something like that. Yeah,
that's why that's another boost for the old show match there, Yanko. You can plan a show match so it does not interfere with the grand final.
But the show match is only going to be watched by people who are in the arena, right? Like, here's the biggest problem with show matches: the players that are available on site. This is the thing that I read from all the people on the forums and stuff that they don't understand. They're like, "Oh, just put all the best players in a server together and have them play." They're not going to do it. You have to pay them. They're not just going to rock up and do it. They're under no obligation to be there. Then past that, right? What are we going to do with them? We're going to put them in a game mode. They're going to run around and use fucking fun guns. Mate, I'll just go and play a public server if you want to watch that shit. Just go sit in the spec slot. Why does watching Monacy jump around with a revolver interest you? It's fucking stupid, right? There's no interest there. Now, if you could do a real All-Stars match, like the Face It LAN lobby that I did on the ESL Media Day, that'd be great. But again, you can't do that because you're going to have to pay them to be there. And a lot of them, as soon as they get eliminated, just fucking leave. So third place decider guarantees that the teams are still there. The biggest issue with that, and the issue that will never be solved, but what people need to understand in that match, is the stakes are different for each team, right? In this event, if it was OG in the third place decider against Mongols, it would have mattered like everything in the fucking world. Like, that would be a massive win for them. But it's always going to have a hunger disparity. This one was kind of shitty because it was a matchup we've seen 100 times, but there will always, or more often than not, be a hunger disparity, like FaZe versus Mouse at EPL. They had Rain as a stand-in. They had to get on a plane and go to China for CAC. Their hunger overall is low, right? Yeah. Compared to Mouse, who are like, well, we normally lose to FaZe, so it'd be great to get a win over them. Their hunger is only a little bit higher, but it's not anything crazy. you want it to be a point where it's like an underdog team versus a high seeded team, and maybe you get an upset there that they can grind out. But then we'd have to weigh it as pundits after and go, well, the third place decider, the favorite probably didn't give a fuck. But that's how she goes.
Well, I mean, we talked about that at length with the Vitality Falcons one from EWC as well, like the hunger disparity there in like the different time of the day, like there's
Time
always
zone,
different condition. I mean, even for that one was kind of like Vitality, a team who's just like, we really don't like to get out of bed if it's not for a trophy game. And then there's Falcons who are like, we're under intense public scrutiny and pressure from the outside and in our own performance, so we have to do well here.
What if we made it a best of one?
Oh yeah, players will love that one.
No, but it kind of does solve a couple of the problems, right? So one, it's not going to be such a huge commitment in terms of, right, it's not going to be a broadcast issue where it's a 3-map series that delays the final.
I think you'd get even less interest from the players because they would just straight up say, now it's a best of one. It's even more bullshit and random and down to the pistol rounds, and who the fuck cares?
No best of ones even with that. I guess what you're going for, and I would
I see what you
probably
mean, yeah.
prefer it personally, but I just can't.
Fair enough.
It's
fair enough. That's fair enough. I'm like the one that we did at PGL Cluj, me and Alex at the start of the year was somehow good. Like it was well received then, but since then the best of 3 third place deciders have been getting less and less shine to them, right? So I see the general gist of it. It's still for me, because I know we have to have something. It's better than a show match. That's where I'm at. And
I mean, I guess the best indication would be the viewers, right? Like, do you guys would the viewers rather have a best of 3 third, fourth place decider, or would they rather have like a best of 1, best of 3 show match of some kind?
Well, this is the thing, right? So in the best of 3 third place decider, if your team is playing and you're a fan of a team in that match, you will watch.
You're probably gonna love it.
But if you're a Counter Strike fan who just likes to watch high level Counter Strike and you don't support any given team vehemently, then you might not watch because the stakes for you are quite low. But otherwise, if it's a good match of CS, sure. This is where if we had like a third place decider at a major, which I'm pretty sure is extremely unlikely, and there was like an in-game medal for third, right? They would try really hard. To incentivize it, kind of like what Yanko's saying, is there has to be a large prize pool disparity between third and fourth or something else.
Some other motivation, some other stake to introduce into the situation.
Yeah, and to be fair, third does sound a whole lot better than fourth. So,
I said on the broadcast, you get second, you win third. That's usually...
Sure. Yeah, okay. I like that.
That's a good way to phrase it. Oh, another fucking banger quote.
I have... I want to pivot here if you guys are open to pivot.
Pivot away.
So I want to have a... What's the thing if it's like going to be scary to people, like a disclaimer of some variety? There's a name for it.
It's not jump scare. It's
trigger warning.
Trigger.
Yeah.
warning.
Okay. Let's do that. This is a trigger warning. That's great. That's it, Jason. This is a trigger warning for everybody playing at home. Who, if you are not interested in hearing about anything EWC related, I would mute now for probably about 15 minutes, and then you can come back, right? Because. What I want to discuss right now is the EWC format for next year, and what I want to do as well as this elongated.
You did bring some fucking format talk today, you son of a bitch.
But you'll like it, Jason.
Right in there.
You'll like it. You'll like it. And since I've actually looked at it properly and not just glanced over it when I was doing Hedge TV Confirmed the other week. Can't stop thinking about it. So let me continue the trigger warning just for a second. For everybody playing at home who has an issue with EWC and its ownership and everything like that, and you can't separate the format talk from the ownership and everything, like I said, you should tune out now because you will just get enraged.
Feel free to skip ahead in the timestamps.
If you can separate, right, and you maybe still have an issue with the ownership, but you're happy to hear about the format talk, you should stay around. And if you don't care and you just want to hear about what we have to say, hang around. So there you go. You've had a warning. It's been quite a long one. So the format for 2026 obviously got expanded. And, you first of all, you see the fallout with what happens with the PGL event. Again,
I have a question before you get too deep in. Is there somewhere where this was announced that I can just pull up so I can read
Yeah.
along?
Yeah. Let me get it.
Just so I can stay on track of format talk, because my brain in certain situations fucking just breaks.
You're going to hear all of this
today. Yeah.
You're going to hear all of this, and you're not going to believe it. Okay, so we've separated the ownership and everything like that. That's gone. We're just looking purely at the format and all the particulars around the format. Everyone happy? Everyone good? Great. Headsets on? Bang. That's a joke to MC and Rush playing at home out there. Okay, so the first, like the headlines read, right? The amount of teams from 16 to 32. Okay, that's already double the teams. The prize money was it 1 million or 1.25 or something last time? It's now 2 million, right? Now 2 million prize. And before we played it over 5 days, now it's played over 11 days. Okay, so it's a big expansion of the event. But it's the particulars that really get me going. Because for the group stage, the format is going to be, where is it here? The group stage is going to be 4 groups of 8-team double elimination. Okay?
Yep.
With 4 teams from each group progressing to a 16-team playoff. So let's just unravel all of that. We will have 28 of the best teams in the world invited by VRS. 28, right? 28 of the best teams in the world by VRS invited to the event, right? Based off of their ranking. So first of all, that's fucking huge. That's more than... This is the same amount of teams as the major, right? 32 teams is the same amount of teams as the major, just so everybody's playing at home. But there's not different stages where some teams start further ahead than others. Everybody starts at the same stage. So, right, we're starting all 32 teams at the same point, other than 4 teams who qualify. And this is where I'm going to blow your fucking socks off, Jason Moses. Oh,
What's up, baby?
the open qualifiers are a 128 team non-BYOC LAN qualifier just before the main tournament kicks off at EWC. 128 teams open. No, don't act like it, Jason.
Wow, you hit
this
the
is
camera.
open to anybody, mate.
I did hit the camera, but I had to do the socks effect thing. I think it's fucking sweet.
128 teams open qualifier. So if you go and look at teams past 28 on the VRS, you could start counting a bunch of names who have the support to go to this LAN to play the open qualifier.
This is exactly the sort of thing that everyone was complaining about in terms of the few events that do have open qualifiers. They're online, and there's cheaters, and there's all this shit, and it's best of ones, and blah, 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 blah. So none of that here. I don't know what...
Wait.
Obviously, you're going to have to... There's going to be some sort of a fee or something to guarantee that you will come, you know, just because you apply for the slot.
Yes.
They have the ability to host 128 teams. It can be less than that, obviously, if there's, you know, there can be a 64-team bracket, a 32-team bracket, depending on how many teams are there. But in theory, if 128 teams sign up and come to Riyadh, we will have 128-team open qualifier on LAN.
played across 3 days.
So they basically just set up a CPL.
Pretty
like an
much.
old school CPL
Yes.
as a qualifier for this.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's actually pretty fucking baller. I'm not going to lie.
Now your
to you.
socks
That's
are really off, aren't they?
That my socks actually, if I hadn't taken them off earlier for the gag, they would be fucking all over the place.
Now, they either updated this or I misread this, but it only goes global VRS to the 21st team. Then there's 2 North American VRS invite slots, first and second. Then there's
2 South American.
2 South American, 2 Asian, and then
Asian
1
Champions
Asia
League
Champions League, excuse me, and then 4 of the open slots. But anyway, that's still fucking mental. And I'm not sure if they're going to do, like, does the first North American VRS team mean if, like, let's say, I don't know, Liquid was #1 in the world, does that mean that's a global VRS or is that a North American VRS? Either way, that's a conversation for another day. But that's still a shitload of teams.
I think global always comes first, and then it's out of the remaining ones.
Well, just out of curiosity, because, I mean, the way I'm reading this and the way I'm imagining it as I described it as a CPL was that I could put a team together with my
Yes,
brother and
we could
3
go.
people and buy the tickets and rock and roll.
Yeah.
Well, 100%.
Yes.
We could go, right? Like, the 3 of us plus your brother plus fucking Henry. We could go. We could go and play. There's nothing
That's
stopping us
fucking
from
sweet.
signing
Pretty
up.
good team.
Right?
Okay, so
Yeah, not
literally
bad.
anyone out there, if you want to pay, I'm assuming this is gonna. Well, I'm not assuming. I would be pretty certain
Well,
this is
I
gonna
don't
come
think-
with you have to pay your own way to
I think
Riyadh.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
I asked Jackson. He couldn't confirm yet. I think they were still, like, figuring out exact. Like, you need to have something so people can't just say, okay, we'll play, and then they don't show up, right?
yeah.
Like, someone online, apply. So there'll have to be something where they can, to a reasonable extent, guarantee that people who sign up will actually come and not just waste
Maybe a deadline
spot.
to show proof of flights and stuff like that, or
Yeah, I was
something
gonna
along
say,
those
like,
lines.
a hotel receipt and flight receipts would probably need to be shown. That's
Or some
because
sort of
my question.
deposit, I don't know.
My next question I was going to get at is: do you actually expect there to be 128 teams that do this?
No way. There's
you don't think so?
0% chance that there's 128.
The world has
teams.
changed, Janko.
There's a 0% chance there will be 128 teams anywhere
True.
in the world.
128
signing up
is
for
like
a
overkill, isn't it?
Like, but
Even if
they're
we had
just
half
doing
of
it
it.
sort of to showcase that that's how many teams they can support. I would imagine
64.
no.
You don't reckon?
That sounds like a lot. Sounds like a lot, man.
Bro, when you think of
because
the
people will have
opportunity
to
on the
fly
line
out
here,
there.
how much does it
Yes.
cost to fly from fucking Europe to Riyadh?
It's more than you think.
Yeah,
It's like
probably.
500-600 return.
Yeah, okay.
You
Well,
know,
but
it's not
there's
like
so many
insignificant.
teams that would give
I
us
know,
a
but
punt, bro.
but I would say 32 teams.
32 teams, even that.
Maybe in between 32 and 6. Maybe it's like a 48 team.
But the
something.
thing that Jason
From
pointed out,
Dusseldorf, there's a $330 flight to Riyadh
Damn.
with one stop.
Great,
Okay.
Jason. How many teams do we have based in Dusseldorf?
I'm sorry, you said Europe. I picked a random Central European city. What the fuck?
Yeah, now add a connection, asshole.
listen. Let's play. Let's
This
play a
is
game
not
right
America.
now. Let's play a game right now. And you guys will say yes
Yeah,
or
yeah.
no on these teams,
Okay.
right? Just so I'm at the 22nd in the world right now. Let me go to VRS ranking so we can at least be accurate with that. Okay, so I'm at 22 in the world right now. You say yes or no. MIBR,
Yes.
VP,
Yes.
Bait.
Yes.
Mm,
Bait?
Yes.
Yes.
Of course.
Lean yes.
Beta going. NIP,
Yes.
Imperial,
Yes.
Passion, Bet Boom,
Yes.
Hotu,
Yes.
Inner
Yes.
Circle. Right?
Hotu maybe.
9
Inner
went
Circle
to
maybe.
fucking Fragadelphia. They would go. Linvision would go.
I was
Seoul
going to say,
would go.
NIP went to Vegas as well for
I know,
Fragadelphia.
but
So
they
if they're not
went-
going to Riyadh, they better be going.
Yeah, but they went to Fragadelphia to win
For
it
the-
and to get
yeah,
the
yeah.
points. Now you're going to a qualifier where, if you don't actually end up qualifying, you're getting fuck all.
Yeah, but if you don't think
I don't-
if you're
honest
at
to
that
God,
level
I
and
don't
you
give a
don't think
fuck.
you can come top 4, then,
No,
then
I'm with
who
you,
are
Chad. I'm
Yeah,
with
yeah.
you, but we're talking about 128 teams. That's
It'll
not
be
happening.
such
And
such an
even
indictment if teams choose not to go to fight for that. In my mind, like if you're an NIP team, like if you're at that level, not specifically NIP necessarily, but if you're in that area and you don't go to fight for these spots, like what are you even doing?
I think the only thing that would prevent them from going for it would be if there were like a Draculand during that time.
Sure.
That for them makes more sense to just
point.
go for the prize money and some sure wins. But all of these would be land wins too. Like that would
Yeah.
count, even though prize money
Well,
wouldn't. Like
it would only be at what point does HLTV start covering the open bracket? It probably
Oh, that's
wouldn't start covering the open bracket until you made it to playoffs, right? And the playoffs are, what did it say? It says here, as many double elimination groups needed based off signups, and then it goes to a single elimination playoffs until semifinals. So probably until that single elimination bracket would only be when your matches would start counting. But the whole thing, I'm pretty sure, is best of 3. It's not best of 1s. Oh, actually, it doesn't say.
I think I would imagine there would be towards the end, like it would be best of 3s.
Yeah.
I mean,
You know,
it also has
what's-
to be finished in 3 days.
I'm a huge fan of this tournament format for the group stage of bringing groups back. I love. I feel like it's been a long time since we've had like a great like group stage format. So much as Swiss these days.
You want
But
3
ironic-
stages of Swiss, Jason? You want 3?
Ironically,
Hell
in
no.
a 128 team open sign up, a Swiss system might actually be the place for it.
Hey,
You
yeah,
know,
maybe.
and they're
Yeah.
doing groups in that situation. So now I got to fight for Swiss system.
No, you don't.
No, this is all fucking sweet. I think this is actually great. And then they've upped the prize pool to 2 million from 1.25 million.
But imagine, yes, but the
Yes.
thing that you said, Jason, that I really liked was the idea that like, we could sign up. I'm sure that there's like a
Yeah.
bunch of guys out there who probably play Counter Strike on, like a Thursday or Wednesday and Thursday night, every week with their boys or whatever, and they've got like a group who would probably, have a decent amount of money and are like, well, fuck it, let's go. We'll play this event. We'll get absolutely destroyed by these like tier 2, tier 3 teams, and then we'll just hang around and we'll watch like the playoffs, like
But that's kind of the fun of these events too. Though, like when you would go to these just to fight and not even know if you were good enough to win, you're going to be put in a group that probably has 2 pretty shit teams that you can probably compete with, and then one like really banging team. So like when
Yeah.
that match comes along, you're in some trouble. But when you're in the other ones, you're fighting for your fucking life. And there are probably guys listening to this podcast and are like, Moses just said that there are $300 tickets to Riyadh, so let's rock and roll.
From Dusseldorf, yeah, all of our listeners from Dusseldorf.
Yeah.
Check New Jersey. But I think that's a fun fact right there. And I don't know, the only downside I see with the format overall is in the group stage. The opening round of the top 32 is best of one. That's the only downside I see with the format overall. And even then, like, I can explain it away in my mind because it'll provide more variance, and 50% of the teams per group make it to the 16-team playoff. It's not like it is with the current ESL format where only 6 teams make it to a playoff out of the 8-team bracket, right? This is only 3 teams make it to the playoff of an 8-team bracket, and if you fall to the lower bracket, only 1 team can make it through. This one's a bit more forgiving in that fashion. So, Anyway, I wanted to point it out because ever since I looked into the details properly, the format itself is fucking massive. And I'm curious to see kind of how it all unfolds.
It doubles the length of the event. I think it goes from 5 days to 11 days.
Yeah.
Just over doubles it as well. That's huge.
Yeah.
Bad news for any New Jersey teams. Flights out of Trenton, New Jersey are $1,600. Flights out of Atlantic City at the moment are $6,400. Now, I will say that this is just a quick Google search. The dates are that's Friday, November 7th. Nope, you guys are still fucked no matter what. Yep, see ya.
Best of luck to everybody though. Out there,
good luck out there.
Yeah.
It's a tough road, but if you wanna be in Counter Strike, you got to make some sacrifices.
Yeah. Okay. So the people who I hope the people who don't like anything with the ownership related stuff all tuned out, because otherwise they're going to be raging in the comments. But now they can all come back. Hopefully.
Welcome back.
They heeded the warning.
Heeded your warning.
Heated.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was it. That's all I wanted to say. Really. That's me done. All right, boys. See you later.
A little later, yeah.
Electronic and Simple reunited. You knew I had to get into this. You knew we were going to talk about this.
I know. But
I thought about bringing it up first because this seems pretty fucking straightforward. I don't think anyone's going to have like a deep angle on this.
Here's the problem I have with this stuff. Obviously, 2 massive names, and even Simple, getting the BC game and playing more and be grinding and da. Exciting, especially if you're like a Simple stan and if you really enjoyed watching the 2 of them together throughout Na'Vi, it's cool. Here's the problem. We don't have a partnered system like the NBA or the NFL or anything along those lines. So it's not like Michael Jordan coming back with fucking Scottie Pippen and getting to play in the Yanko, what's the team? The Raptors?
No. Keep going. You're doing it. You're nailing it. Raptors is good.
And then we're like, oh shit, they're in the Raptors. They're going to make this team fucking sick. We don't have that. We're like, they're in BC game and they're going to play some online games and they're going to lose to Big. And until they break in to the cusp of Counter Strike where I get to see them at LAN tournament, they're on my radar. I'll go, oh shit, Simple's playing. Let's go see how he's doing. Or, oh look, Electronic and Simple, it's Batman and Robin back together. Let's go see how they're doing. But it's not my main focus. It's like as GB James said, make a play that makes your dick hard. And this play,
dick hard.
It ain't. It just
is it getting it like a little bit more blood flow, or is it?
No,
just
I think
it's
like the hair drugs these days. They might be having some side effects. So it's like
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, they got smoked by Big yesterday. 2-0, 13-4, 13-5.
Today, I'm pretty sure. It's only a couple of hours ago.
Was that today?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really. I guess the question would be: does this make you feel like VCG's making moves like they said they would to become a contender with Simple?
It's like they made a move.
This feels
Simple wanted them to make.
Yeah, exactly. This almost. I don't know. I was going to make a comparison to a movie that I haven't actually seen, so I didn't want to get on that road. But
what movie?
It does. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the newest Tarantino one. I think I fell asleep on a flight like an hour into it, but it did feel like it feels like the fucking, isn't that like all about like the aging stuntman and movie star? That's what this feels like to me, is like the guys who are like a little bit past their prime and think that the key to it is to reignite the magic is going to be getting back together and seeing if they can still make it happen. And
it's Brad Pitt's character fighting Bruce Lee's character.
Yeah, we don't have a Bruce Lee in this metaphor. We can get one.
Well, anyone who likes that film is probably hating you right now.
Yeah,
Jason,
they probably absolutely are. Yeah, for sure.
For the way you've described it.
I don't know how the movie ends, so maybe it all turns out okay for the aging guys.
Actually, the ending is kind of banging. It's a slow burner, but the ending is kind of banging. Actually, I might rewatch that on my next long flight, which will be never. But I think. Well, first of all, I don't see where else he could have gone. Electronic, right? Who's going to offer him
after the VP
a spot on the team, right?
Yeah.
Like after the Cloud9 and VP stuff, like I don't think anyone would touch him. to be honest. Like, not even a team like, well, I was going to say Paravision, but James and Dustin are there. And
Would have
they
been funny if
removed
you flowed right into
right,
BC game.
But someone like that. But for BC game, like, it kind of makes sense for them. Like, they have the whole s1mple plus electronic angle. Electronic doesn't have to IGL, but unfortunately, I just don't see it. I think, unfortunately, like, it's a couple of players that perhaps the time has passed them, in a way where just it's not even the biggest issue isn't even about skill per se, which isn't what it used to be relative to other players. It's more like the approach and just the atmosphere side of things, and I don't want to say work ethic, but more so how are you getting along with your like teammates, and how are you giving constructive criticism, let's put it that way, right? Where things aren't necessarily working out and your skill isn't bailing you out anymore.
Yeah.
Now, when both of those players were at the peak of their might was when they played together. I don't know if that's going to somehow magically help both of them, right? But as I said, I don't get that feeling. And honestly, if the goal was for BC game to build, a superstar team and get some like big names into the team, I feel like bringing Electronic in has made that more difficult for them.
Why? Because of the type of positions or his profile as an individual?
I think more of a like profile as an individual, and I don't necessarily believe that other top players see him as someone who can still do it on like a really higher tier 1 level, right? Like now BC game is looking more and more like a retirement home than it is, right? Organizations that's trying
modern
to build
day Dignitas,
a contender. Well, in a way, I guess.
I see what you're saying. I think it's hard to nurture. It's gonna be hard to nurture younger players in that environment. That environment will be like,
that's trial by fire. It's not hold hands and let's bring you to a place. This is like this is kind of like welcome to the nightmare. They're 61th right now and 61st in Valve ranking in VRS. So
it's early for Jason. Be nice to Jason, all right?
It's a day. I'm obviously
just
struggling.
Had his coffee. He didn't have a drink
obviously
yet.
Struggling today. 61st in VRS. How high do they have to rise, do you think, before they can start attracting something serious?
Top 32 is the bubble, right?
Yeah.
Well, kind of.
I guess
but
in a
not
way.
Really.
Well, the reason I say top
bounty,
32 is because like some of these other events that the top teams are not going to attend, and if you're in like bounty contention, that's the rough area you want to be, or the same as this EWC format we just spoke about, right? So the larger scale formats, and as of next year, I'm pretty sure these TOs have to run 20 team events, right? Which will have to include some portion of an online qualifier. Let's say that they invite, 14 teams to the LAN, then they have to have a qualifier with at least 6 teams online to find those last 2 spots. And most will probably expand it further than that, just because if you're already running an online event, then why not run it as a 16-team online event or whatever, right? So there are some movements in that regard. It's big news, probably in the same way that like Forest exists, Freiburg and Get Right joined Dignitas. Right, like it's a reuniting of people who people were fans of. Right, the thing is, the main question for me is: does this hamper s1mple's chances of returning to the upper echelons of the game? Because I'm less excited about the electronic thing. I'm more interested in the conversation of like, what does this mean for s1mple resuscitating his career at the top level? Like, can he get back there?
The big problem with that for me has been some of the stuff that was getting out with like the Dota.
What was that about? I didn't look into it.
Was that
did
true?
He actually just skip it?
I didn't even want to look into that because I didn't want it to be true.
He didn't show up for a game like that BC game had because allegedly he was playing Dota at the time. Or he was in a Dota game and didn't quit it to, I don't know, right? But then there was like numbers about how many Dota games he's played the last week or 2 weeks and how many Face It games or CS games. And it was like double in favor of Dota. It's just things that you don't necessarily want to be seeing, hearing when you're talking about someone who's trying to grind his way back and prove that, you know, Counter Strike is still
The focus.
the focus and the big priority, right? Which and I don't know, man. Like, I'm sure it's not easy for him to play tier 3 CS online all the time, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's probably hard to find motivation, but that's sort of the deal you put yourself in, right? And you're the one who has to claw himself out of it if you want an opportunity, you know, at tier 1 CS again.
Playing the majors
he's-
is essentially it, right? Yeah.
He's going to have to find the mental edge again. That I mean, I think it's for whatever reason he just doesn't have it at the moment, which is what it is. But if he doesn't find that, I mean, I don't think anything matters about BCG. I mean, to answer your question, like, I think I guess it depends on how you think the best way for s1mple to get back to the top is going to be. Like, what kind of a strategy did he have in mind going to BCG? Was this kind of like join this team, play really well individually,
and then get picked up,
get reps in, and get picked up and go to a different team? Or did he actually think, come to this team, they've told me they want to invest in a future roster, so I'm going to be here to build this team up, you know, as a unit? If it's the second option where he knew he was going to be building a team, I don't think Electronic was the right play. If it's the first option, I mean, maybe he can still show some good things, but I think his buyout's got to be incredibly insane, I would imagine.
Yeah, and how long is the contract for? Because if you look at the
Right.
stats, and obviously when they're talking about online CS, he is head and shoulders above the rest of his team, right? They've played, I'm having a look at it now, 59 maps. s1mple has a 1.29 rating, and the next closest is Andu at a 1.03, and Next at a 1.03, and Sasanito at a 1, right? I took Electronic out because obviously they've only played a handful of maps together, so no point really bringing him into that conversation. So with that in mind, like, obviously if people have been keeping track of the stats, and sure, he's not playing against world beaters, right? If you look at the teams that he's been playing against, the names are not ones that are going to make you get out of bed in the morning. There's a couple of matches against OG here, or Bet Boom, or fucking Ents, right? That's the scale of team that we're talking about. So you would expect that the GOAT would be able to lay down the law, especially if he was trying to grind back. Now, let's do a thought experiment, because the addition of Electronic, like you're saying, it leads us to believe that he is not going to. Like, this is you building for the future. You're not building to just leave. You're not just like, let's get Electronic in and then leave. Unless it's like, well, they pay really well. Electronic, come over here for a little while, and then until I, am ready to go, that you can make some money too. Who knows? But let's say that the team is Electronic and s1mple, and then you have these other three pieces, Andu, Nexa, and Sasanito. Where are you going next? Like, if you could pick up a player, doesn't have to necessarily be a free agent. Might be for a player who you can try and like snag from a straggling team, like a Gamer Legion or something like that. What are you going for? Because you don't need an AWPer. Do you want to bring an in-game leader in? Do you want to just have Nexa do that role? Do you want to go right? Are we looking for anchors, lurkers?
I know nothing, obviously, about the inner working of this team. If I had to make an assumption from the outside based off just experience of being in teams and hearing about the controversies of teams over the years, I would say it doesn't really matter the role at this point. I think probably Sasanito or Andu is eventually going to get put on a hot seat where they just say he's not good enough. And I think Nexa is going to get a little bit of a pass as time goes on because he's got more experience and he's IGL. But I think one of those two guys is going to be the next up on the chopping block when they're just not playing well. And it's going to keep getting worse and worse until eventually it forces the hand of the organization to make a change. And I don't think roles will factor that much into it.
Let me throw this into the mix, Yanko, and see where you land here, because obviously we're going to have roster changes after this next major. Do you think there's any roster changes that are likely to happen based on results that BC Game could capitalize on? Is there like an in-game leader of a team right now? Let's say, for example, and I keep living in this la-la land, and I think I'll be here forever, but let's say Falcon say, okay, Nico, it's time for you to in-game lead, or Nico says, it's time for me to in-game lead, Kixen gone. And then your BC Game, you pick up Kixen. Now you got Kixen, now you got s1mple, now you got Electronic.
They'd love to, but I don't know if he would be willing to make that move.
Sure. So, yeah, his stock's still high enough that it could go to another team.
Yeah, I think so. I think definitely.
But then that would be the same with a lot of these names, right?
That's the crux of the issue, though, isn't it? Does this edition of Electronic and can s1mple and Electronic and the rest of the team put together enough performances to where this becomes an attractive destination? Because you're talking about Kixen not wanting to go there in the sense of why the fuck would I go join BC Game at this point in my career? I have more to give, as if it is a retirement home. But at some point, the goal is to turn the corner to where people look at that and say, that's an interesting project that has championship, potential written all over it. I want to be in that project. So that's where I guess we all kind of think, at least initially, without seeing too many results and without a whole lot of time, Electronic is not making that kind of a statement that this is a team that's going to turn the corner to championship aspirations.
Yeah, but the problem is, I get that's the goal, but I don't think they'll achieve that goal.
Yeah.
I don't. Unfortunately, the way it's with some of these things, that's not the way it's looking. But I hope I'm wrong.
But-
I would love to see Electronic and s1mple back, man. Batman
I would
and
too.
Robin, like playing on a high level, that would be sick. But they have to want that first and foremost.
Just to point something out here, when you look at the VRS points, right? They have 1,074. They're 61st, as Jason was just saying before, or 61ed, or whatever it was. The LAN win portion is at 0 LAN wins because they played no LANs. So if they were to play a couple of LANs, even if it is
They could
smaller
climb up
LANs,
that.
they would climb up that quite quickly, right? So for me, it feels like it's a matter of time before they go to a LAN and be able to get a couple of wins, right? Let's say they went to the Draculan that FlyQuest bombed out of. Surely they're beating some of the teams there. Like
Yeah,
they're
you'd
definitely
have to
beating
imagine.
some of the teams there, right?
Yeah.
So you're throwing some LAN wins into the mix, and then you're saying, okay, well, if you only need to look, it seems tough when we're saying they need to move up 30 points. But when you've had a team like fucking Basement Boys or whoever the fuck it was come in and they jump like I don't know 200 points or whatever the fuck it is, it's possible, right? So I get what you guys are saying, and we're talking about, is it an attractive destination? If you're already a name value player who s1mple and Electronic think will add value to this team, you know that BC Games is going to pay you a decent wage. You're not going to get bent over the barrel. Like you're not getting fucked in terms of the amount of money you'll be earning, or at least that's an assumption that I'm making. Maybe that's not grounded in reality. But for me, I'm more like, well, let's see where this goes, right? It doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence after seeing this move, just based off of how the run
But
at
you're still
VP for
wait and
Electronic
see.
went. But I'm like, that they can still build into being a team who can get in invite range, and they just need to go to a couple of lands. So that's where I'm at.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. Fucking middle of the road.
By the
stuff
way, one of the funniest fucking things was I found it hilarious was that BC Game tweet where they were just like, and yeah, one player asked us, told us he needed a helicopter ride and dinner for him and his
Do you
wife
believe that was
once a
real?
month. I do. I
Really?
fucking do, but it might just be out of hope, and it might just, well,
You hope that's real.
because I just find it hilarious. But also, I've never to that extent, but I mean, there was a period early on when, like in like 2016, 17, 18, when like literally every event was asking us all to work, and at one point I just wanted a week at home, and I said, I'm sorry, I don't normally do this, but because of my schedule that's already in place, I have to ask you for like quadruple my daily rate at the time. And I was like, this isn't a reflection, but it was like my way of saying no without actually saying no. Like, if you guys happen to say yes to this, fucking sweet. That's going to make me motivated.
So you think
like,
it was
that
just
feels like
thrown
one
out
of my,
there as a see what they do
Yeah.
type scenario.
like,
Yeah.
oh, this big time company, this big time gambling company, let's see what I can milk out of them because they have the money to where they could throw this away and it wouldn't bat an eye, and let's just see what happens. So I
Yeah.
think that was a way of saying no without actually saying no, but I still find it fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I just used a similar technique in mine wasn't saying I want a helicopter ride. Mine was saying that is, I wouldn't say a standard, but as a staple at least the events we work, because the rate had been negotiated down by like 20% from what the normal rate was. So I was like, okay, well, if this is going to be the case, let's try and supplement some of it by asking if they can put a PC in the room, which is a luxury that we sometimes
Sure.
get afforded, especially at ESL and PGL events. And then like they tried to wiggle down like an extra $50 off a day or whatever it was. And I was like, okay, but could you provide a PC and stuff? And they came back like, no, it's all right. We'll agree to your already subsidized rate. So I was like, okay, well, it was worth a shot, giving it a go, seeing what we can do.
The worst that could happen is they say no.
Yeah, and hey, they didn't say no. They were like, oh, okay, fine. So I was like, all right, cool. So yeah, I hope it's that. I hope it was rain, and he was like, yeah, I just want to take my wife and my kids on a helicopter. So let's see what they say.
I know. The other
Yeah.
popular
Why the
one
hell
is JL. I could see it being JL as well.
JL.
Just at a competition and being like, if you're going to drag me back into competition with s1mple, I need a fucking helicopter ride, bro.
It's like, give me. I want to be able to drive around in a semi trailer so I can drift after each land event or some shit for
Fuck
JL.
yeah.
Who the fuck knows what's going on
Well,
over there?
Talking about retirement homes, Config retired. Did you guys
Yes.
see that?
They did.
Yes.
We didn't talk about that.
Well,
I did
yeah,
tweet
yeah.
about it though.
You did tweet about it.
and got mixed replies in the back.
I think it's probably because it may have felt like you were kicking someone while they were down.
I get it.
Yes.
I get it. I get it. That's how it felt to people, and I didn't do that. I didn't like impulse tweet what I did.
Sure.
Right. I was writing the tweet up, and I knew like that's what some people are gonna feel, and that's why I felt to some extent it's like, do I really need to tweet this? Right, like the guy is retired. You know, like I can just not hit tweet on this, right?
Yeah.
And can just be out there. The guy retired. Who's going? But I actually read that fucking whole thing because now that I'm leaning more to tweeting, I wanna, see what he had to say first and what the article is about. I'm not, like that's a lot of words for a player like Config, right, to be written about in his career. But it's mostly because of the extracurricular stuff that people are. That it's even being talked about that much. Like in reality, he was, an okay player for the time. Yes, his style was exciting. That's why I said that he was one of the more overrated players. I'm not saying he was ass. I'm just saying he was overrated because people would talk about him as if he is, I don't know what, because he was aggressive. And when he has a good game and he pops off, he's like really wrecking people, right? And he's really wrecking people, But he only was in the top 20 once and he was 14th, right? And I think he won like a couple of tournaments, and that's pretty much it, right? Like that's going to be a footnote in the world of Counter-Strike's history, right? But a lot of it is like, oh yeah, he retired, and like everyone deserves a second chance. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Everyone does deserve a second chance. The problem with someone like Config is he had multiple chances, and a lot of times it was like, yeah, I took time to reflect on things, blah, 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 the usual spiel, I'm changed now, things, and then it's the same old. And I think at that point, it's important to tell the sort of cautionary tale, right? And to be honest about it. Let's not pretend just because someone is retiring, right, and is hanging it up, especially in a case where they still want to be involved with the game and young players at that, right? Where it's like, yeah, actually he was like, pretty good, he was a great player and he was like fine, boys will be boys, like it's a couple of like, no, that's not how it was with him at all. It's
I think that he was an exciting player to watch, and he was a personality, right, which is probably something that I don't think, like, I understand what you're saying overall. To watch Config play and some of the antics and stuff, obviously the main one that sticks out is the whole Malta thing where the fight went down and stuff like that. And that's probably the more recent one that sticks out. I get what you're saying from the angle of, he would always put out these quite verbose messages, which is like saying that he is going to do the right thing. But a lot of the time, from those things, I think it's better that people don't say anything and actually just start doing the right thing or the thing, right? But a lot of the time it's, again, I have to always remind myself we're dealing with young men and we're on social media and we're dealing with social credit that people are playing for. Like people across the space are always playing some form of a game. And some people who are playing those games, it doesn't even get noted by the general public that those games are being played. By some people, it does, right? I just think it's... I didn't read it. I just saw the headline, and I saw the headline was enough for me, right? Like I don't want to see anyone else go through what I've gone through because it breaks you. It's like, well, you definitely, like, I haven't read the whole thing, so maybe he owns up to like a lot of his shortcomings and stuff, but you definitely contribute to how your destiny unfolds. Some stuff that happens is unfair, for sure. That happens to everybody. But he was probably a big contributor to some of the silly scenarios that he found himself in.
I think for me, it's also, I believe, man, actions have consequences, and as I said, everyone deserves...
not in our space, apparently.
everyone deserves a second chance, right? And people make mistakes, like you said, especially young adults, especially at a time where maybe there hasn't been a lot of support around it and all of that stuff. But man, if you want to make it and if you want to succeed in this industry, right, and if you want to compete at a high level, I mean, there's things that go along with it that you have to do to be able to make it, right? And he just wasn't doing those things. There was a lot of talking, not a lot of doing. Gradually, his level, I won't even say dropped off. It's like everyone else was working and getting better, and he just stagnated, right? And for me, it's also, I can draw the difference between, I wish, like, Christian, whatever, all the best. I really hope he, he's turned it around and figure out what he wants to do. And is happy in life and succeeds in life by his own metrics, right? Would I recommend config to anyone being an agent and managing anyone's career? Hell no. And I don't
It
think
is an
that's like
interesting
a
turn,
crazy
isn't
thing
it?
to say.
Career-wise, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like he was talking about being a paramedic and like he's really good at talking to people and connecting to people and he wants to help people. Awesome, man.
He's pretty
Go
charismatic.
be a paramedic, you know, or the kindergarten teacher or whatever, you know, like he was a substitute kindergarten teacher for a while. Like, do you know? But for Counter-Strike, like I don't know where he could start off from, where like he could build his way back up slowly.
For me, this is like a cautionary tale for multiple reasons. One of the angles is I think people don't understand how good we have it in this space until it's gone, right? Like there's a lot of Peter Pan syndrome in this space, and there are people who maybe don't talk to staff members the nicest, or don't put in 100% every day and phone it in sometimes, or don't progress with the game, like what Yanko's saying, right? When you look at a player like Config, he was a very hyper-aggressive player, and a lot of that comes with catching people off timings and pushing through smokes. Mechanically, he was strong, but I would say that his playstyle didn't adapt with the modern game, which is no longer... Sure, you need gimmicks and pushing through, but the basis of the game isn't built off of that anymore, right? So for that type of decline, that's not keeping up with the progression of the game. And then having the blunders that you had taking you out of the server and stopping you from being in the spotlight and being able to compete contributes and compounds. I think it's another thing. It's a reminder for players like Config, if you look at it compared to the majority of people who are ever a professional Counter-Strike player, had a pretty decorated career, right? If you look at it, majority of people who ever play Counter-Strike at a relatively high level, he had a pretty good career in that sense. So, and it shows you, even if you're a player like him, how it can just disappear, and it can be gone, right? And you have players who take breaks and have been able to come back. You have players who take breaks and they can't. And if you don't, like, he's 28, so he hasn't aged out completely by this point, right? Like, if you really wanted to go back to the grassroots, to the Danish scene, and work your way up, if you feel that you definitely had something to offer, but it's a long road, and that's the problem. It's hard work. It's not easy. You have to play the deathmatch for multiple hours a day. You have to be doing the scrims. You've got to make sure that your personality is there and right in the teams. You have to make sure you're waking up every day, and just like everything we do, right? So, yeah. That's all I have to say, really.
Felt like you really just got something off your chest there, Chad.
No, it's just life, though, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
whatever, Chad.
Whatever. Shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up, Chad.
it's just.
You don't
It's
have any
just
kids,
like,
Say your
Chad,
piece,
you
Jason.
fucking
Come on,
idiots.
we're all
A little bit of a-
fucking ears, guy.
I know, man. I don't have a whole lot of strong opinions on this one. I don't. I really don't.
Yeah, of course, you can't say anything bad about anyone unless it's simple for some reason.
Oh.
Hey, I aim for the motherfucking king, and boy, I did not fucking miss, did I?
You better be careful. Simple's the type of guy who'll bite back, Jason. You ever sees your trifling ass talking shit, he'll be coming for you.
Great. Just wait till he gets to like top
like
32
Omar,
in
dude.
VRS, and then he can start talking some
You're going to
shit.
be hearing that whistle soon enough, Jason.
Hell.
I don't know, man. The config thing is like it's whatever. I think it's someone throughout his career who obviously didn't have like a mentality. Like it's exactly what you just described, Chad. Like not sticking with meta changes, not like a very intuitive, very strong individually, wasn't great inside of a team. And I think all of that comes down to just not having a mental focus over the course of the years to be able to improve in those regards. Because as Yanko said as well, he had plenty of opportunities. Like you guys have just covered everything that you could say about config. I would say to his transition as an agent, if he can pull it off, it could be cool. I think there's, if he matures in a way that he can actually help people.
Jason? Aren't most of the agents in our space just fucking rinsing players who are like 18 years of age? Isn't that what's happening? Then they drive up contract prices.
I would imagine so, but that's leaning into the stereotype. I know there's got to be a few good agents, but definitely a lot of agents are out there.
Use
Every
car
story I
salesmen
hear,
to me, Jason.
trying to milk the extra money to get a little bit of extra cash for themselves. But that's an agent for you. And obviously there's good ones and there are bad ones. But I would say I think there could be value if config turns it around. It's going to take some time in having an agent who has the experience of an actual pro player going through those systems and the pitfalls. While yes, most of them in this situation are self-inflicted by config, I think that's equally valuable experience that if he's smart and he develops and actually puts work into it, he can find a way to turn those experience into a positive for whoever he's trying to help as an agent. As to how he does it, I don't fucking know. I think the actual route, if I go literal, would be he probably knows all those old school like Refresh and Blast guys that started the company that have their own agency now for esports within Denmark. Probably knows those guys well enough to be able to get in his foot in the door and start working under them for a little bit and get experience that way and build up a reputation somehow. That'd be the actual real life way of going about it. Let's see how dedicated he is. That's all I got.
Fair.
Nice, you see.
Jason's spoken.
That's all I got on that one.
It's a decent amount.
We should touch on. We haven't talked about CAC, and I know you guys didn't watch it, and I didn't see much of it with the hours that it was on. I was able to go back and watch a couple VODs, but just to fucking hit the CAC note, any initial thoughts just looking at results face value?
Phase flop.
Rain would not be out in group. Rain would have gotten that team to playoffs, man.
Oh.
Yeah, I think I have to go back and look at like what positions they put Jacob in.
No, I mean it's low hanging fruit, right? Like
That's
just
what we
to
do
go
around
out
here.
there.
Baseless claims and
love
low hanging
Just to
fruit.
go out there and say, oh yeah, I mean there's your Jacob guys, right? Like, oh, they can't even beat Navi Academy 2 times. Can't even make the playoffs, but it would have been hard with whomever because they traveled on the day they played their game. You know, like after the third place decider, they flew to China, right? You have to play immediately. You've just been playing with Rain, like you were making playoffs, everything. Now you're back to group stages, playing some of these teams. Like, but that's the that's the disservice that you've done, Jacob. Now with all this as well. Like, there's so much unnecessary spotlight and noise around this whole thing now, where it's much more difficult for him to perform.
Yeah. I think it could have been a like obviously on the phase focus is whatever. I agree with what Yanko just said. Jason, do you have anything on phase before I transition elsewhere?
No, I agree with you. Jacob's just in a lose-lose situation no matter what. Like, unless he's incredible, he's just kind of in a lose-lose situation.
I think the org is too, to some degree, right? Obviously, we can sit back and we say that they should have stuck with Rain, but they made the choices in the pattern that they made the choices, and they are where they are now. I think the angle would have been, okay, so you brought in Twist and you kept Rain, and then and you didn't do well at the major. People are like, well, you guys are shit. Why didn't you be more aggressive with your roster changes? You bench Rain, you have Jacob in the team who you already signed, right? And you didn't use Jacob, and it still goes poorly. Or you use Jacob, and this happens. Either way, you're going to cop shit, right? So.
And now within that team, you have Twist who came back. You have Brokey and Kerrigan who just had in Frozen who just had that fun ride with Rain at EPL. Who came into this team, got the boys back together, had the honeymoon run all the way, deep into the event, and now you've dropped Rain after the fact, and you gave them all a taste of what it would have been like getting the boys back together, which is probably what they want deep down. So now you have a team that's kind of split, saying, "Man, I wish we just had fucking Rain." Like,
well, at least Rain's realistic about it. He's like, "Yeah, I can't wait for these motherfuckers." Rain's great. Rain is like he's already got the post-breakup mentality. He's like, "Yeah, they don't want to be with me, so I guess I'm just gonna
fuck it."
Just hit the gym, and he's already sorted there.
Going out drinking with the boys, getting phone calls when he's hungover, saying "We miss you, man." He's living the fucking X dream.
Yeah, he really is. He's crushed it. I think that it's a bit of a miss for 3D Max, I guess. Not winning the final, but it was a 5-map final. So because 3D Max after like EPL and stuff is where you go, okay, are they picking up steam? And then to lose that in the final here, they were definitely one of the favorites. I think it would be hard to name another favorite.
True.
Because everyone else
3D
was
Max.
coming. 3D Max, yeah. Well, who else would be a favorite at that event?
Well, who was talking about it? One of
Was
them.
it Gravity?
No, maybe it was Maka who was saying like that they're one of the favorites.
But I think that's a fair surmise of the situation, because everyone else, you look at that event. It's hard to put your finger on who was coming in good form.
Yeah. I mean, coming into this event, you would have said 3D Max is in the best form, best chance to win it, and then you would have been like Legacy if,
Well, you would have been Phase if, yeah, exactly.
Liquid
right.
if.
Yeah. No one that you would have had like put money on or anything along those lines, right?
Yeah, that one's actually got a stink for them. I guess what's the best case scenario for 3D Max at the major? Like, what's the target finish for them?
I think playoffs. Like that's the level that they've been demonstrating, right? Is that they're a playoff level team. So at the major is where you would hope to be able to stick the landing on that. It's the most important one.
Yeah, I think they have to get quarterfinals at the major in my mind, and then depending on the matchup in the quarterfinal, maybe.
I think playoffs at the major is fine for that team, for sure. Like, obviously, they're not going to be content with that. But when you look at where they are in the VRS, for example, they're 10th in the world. right? Aurora's stock is on the way down at the moment. Like G2 is a big question mark. They looked good in London, but since then it's been a bit of a weird one. And you've seen some behind the scenes like kind of clips coming out where they're I don't want to say tensions are high, but it always feels like they're like, oh, we need to trust each other when we say this, which is not a great sign. Spirit off of the back of the phase loss is like, oh, okay, what's going on here?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of questions around this, like, 8th to 12th kind of pocket of teams at the moment as far as the VRS rating is concerned. It's a nice little confidence booster for Legacy, and it's not just a best of one farm fest, right? They've taken down some good teams of similar kind of level, but at the same time, without having watched the games, I can't really comment too much about the particulars, right? That's something that,
Sure.
when I prep for the next event, which is PGL Masters Bucharest, I'll have to
You'll
One
dive into a little
MVP,
bit more?
Chad.
What?
One MVP.
Your boy Latta, yeah. Can't believe it.
Lato.
Lato won
Could have been a
MVP, man.
Dumao MVP,
Lato
you know?
and K Serato, you know.
Two Brazilians,
day.
one day. Well, let me have a look here, because I'm doing the...
I tell you
decent-
what, I fucking love Dumao interviews. By the way, I don't know if you guys have caught up, stayed on top of them, but every time Dumao gives a fucking an interview or something in public, I'm fucking listening. I love his shit.
He's
I think
definitely
got
got
such a good mature mind to like be a player, to be like a competitive player.
Yeah.
And then he fucking strolls out with no shoes on to lift the trophy. That's fucking aura.
I like the picture on Twitter that was, or Reddit, whatever it was. It was like, what's with Brazilian players
Brazilian
getting their dogs
bringing
out
their
on
dogs
stage?
out.
Yeah, Paul's got his dog and Dumas got his feet out. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they're one of those teams that had potential for a while now. The first time we saw Duma and Lato was in Stockholm Major with Godsend when Taco was still on the team. That's 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So to keep using the word potential feels a bit disingenuous. But they're the one left full Brazilian lineup.
Yeah, MIBR.
Everyone else has
Pain.
imports, whether they're English speaking or in case of Pain and Imperial, it's other South American players. So I think that's something that maybe the fan base down there rallies behind. But
Yep.
yeah,
They've also been together for quite some time. The most recent acquisitions are 9 months, and then you go to like the other guys, it's a year and 4 months, 2 years, 2 years. So like
well,
Dumao
Lux
and Lato
is
have been
less
playing.
than it's 9 months. Lux has been there.
Yeah, Lux
Yeah,
and
Payne
this in
replaced
9
him at the
months.
start of the year. After the major Shanghai, they replaced him going into 2025, I'm pretty sure.
And 3D Max somehow also in the final. They keep getting it done. They keep doing it.
They definitely have a competent level. The problem is they don't have a gear to then take it to the elite, right?
Yeah, I
like
guess
that's the problem. They have a
fair way
competent
of
level of
putting it.
Counter Strike, just no gear to push them into the big boy conversation, and that's something that's hard to see changing because the way that they get output in games, it always feels like somebody else, right? Like you have a good lucky game, you have a good body game, you have a good Macca game, right? There's no,
I think map pool probably an issue as well. Like if you're losing a best of 5 to Legacy, like that map pool is going to be difficult when you go to best of 5s against the best teams as well.
I remember tweeting after I was like, wow. And in that final, they all traded picks, right? Like 4 maps. They won each other's picks. And I was like, when did this happen? And it happened at Fisher. It happens a ton, actually. I was like shocked. I was like, okay, I didn't really do research. I was like, does this happen often? Was kind of what I was getting at. And it happens
More than we think.
super often, actually. Happened at I think, Blast London as well, G2 Italy.
Yep.
But that's kind of wild to think about.
So
But
I have a question because Bucharest, I'm doing remote, you guys are on site. Kicks off in a couple days' time, starts on Sunday. The field of teams: Aurora, 3D Max, Liquid, Astralis, Pain, Legacy, Gamer Legion, General Mates, Heroic, Fnatic, NIP, Bait, MIBR, BetBoom, Soul, FlyQuest. Right. So none of the Giga Elite. The highest rated team there is Aurora, then 3D Max. So those are the top 2 teams. Do you think either of those top 2 teams will win the event?
You said Aurora and
3D Max.
No.
Then who wins?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I think I would have Aurora as the favorite to win this. To be honest with you, that might seem crazy.
Seems crazy after watching him play at Thunderpick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see the Thunderpick game, so give me that spot.
Maybe watch some CS in your downtime, Jason.
Yeah, I'll do my best.
Yeah, this is we talk about
No,
tabletops here.
I watched the Liquid VODs from some of the Liquid VODs, and I like what I'm seeing out of Liquid. I like the Elige acquisition is looking like it just fits. I think
Are they
Nerds
winning? Can they win?
Yeah, they can. I think this team needs. I think when they come to Major, I think they're going to be in a better form. I feel like they should have beaten 3D Max in this series in the semifinals of CAC. I was a little bit bummed at that result when they dropped out. But I mean, I like the way that they're kind of playing the game at the moment, and I think I saw them work through a couple of things on the T side that weren't really working. So you can see they have some ideas. Some of them were working better than others, but everything when it is working and you see the pieces fall into place, it's really, really nice. So if they get that set up and they keep building upon that at PGL Bucharest leading into the major, I think they can be a sneaky team to do some real damage to some of like the lower level top teams.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of teams here so there's some that I would classify as like treading water teams. So like Astralis, Pain, Gamer Legion, Heroic. Yeah. I feel like they're all like treading water. Teams who I'm interested to see, like MIBR have had a successful campaign in Brazil recently, so I'm interested to see the Kicker and Klim up against European opponents. There's some teams which I just have very limited interest in. Obviously, anybody who's attending the major, this is more interesting to kind of see how they're trending. Obviously, the team I care about the most is FlyQuest. To see, because
hell yeah, you do.
Someone made a HLTV thread. What do they call it? They called it FlyQuest's. Where is it? FlyQuest last gasp, and it was basically talking about their ranking position and how they used to be the second best APAC team, but now they've like definitely fallen down, and by falling out of the rankings, they're going to be outside of the invite bubble. So if they don't do well here and they don't do well at the major, then next year, who knows, like kind of where they'll find themselves trying to get back into things. And it's like fucking 12 paragraph thread. You don't often see those on HLTV.
Sure.
So there's a bit of sound logic in there. So for FlyQuest and essentially the region, it's extremely important that they are able to scoop up some wins here. And I know that they flew back to Europe a couple of days ago to get some prac in. I think they're in Romania right now, so they'll just go from there across to the event. And then from there, they, I believe, are going to stay in Europe the entire time until the major. So they'll get like a nice chunky month worth of a boot camp in Europe to be ready, which is good. I'm pretty sure that's what's happening. I have to check in. I haven't spoken to Gomez in a while, but that's what
What are your thoughts? You got hope in the FlyQuest boys? You think they're going to be able to pull it off?
It's tough. It's tough at this first one. I think that the positive I see here is it's a Swiss format, so they have a minimum of 3 games. They're all best of 3. They're not going to play multiple games in a day, and I'm not trying to make excuses for them, but obviously at Draculan, it was a bit more of a compromised environment. Yeah. Even though I think Draculan did a great job with the level of event it was. But normally when they play tier 1 events, because even though there's not like all the big boy teams at this event, it's still a tier 1 quality of event. Like PGL run a quality event. You're looked after to the proper degree. You have the correct PCs, like everything, like the way that the admin team is, stuff like that. It's at the degree that we would classify as a tier 1 event. So I am hopeful that there are a couple of wins available. Whether or not they're able to squeak through and make it into the playoffs, I think that that's a pipe dream at the moment. Essentially, what I'm looking for is just an uptick of form and seeing some of the things that are shortcomings, like their T-sides and missing utility and shit like that. I want to see an uptick there, essentially.
Yeah. Well, they're going to have, I think, a tough first game against, I know OG just got, or Gamer Legion, excuse me, just got last at the CAC.
Yeah.
Losing to Liquid and losing to Lin Vision.
Won't be an easy game, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, on one sense, I'm like, they just got last. They're looking a little shaky. Maybe it'll be easy. And then I'm like, yeah, but they're probably going to come into this pissed off, and that probably put, like, a new fire in terms of work. So I imagine that opening game for both those teams needs to be sharp from both sides.
I think one of the benefits for FlyQuest is, like, lack of data on map pool.
Yeah.
So, but I guess this is where they need to be shored up on certain maps that Gamer Legion might try and pick to punish. But Gamer Legion have lost the last 5 in a row, so they really need to win too. But their 5 losses are Malice, Vitality, Mongols, Liquid, Lin Vision. Whereas, like, the mixed bag for fucking FlyQuest is, like, they beat Legacy, but they lost to G2. They lost to Basement Boys. They beat Metasport. They beat Sinners, but then they lost to MBK's Gen 1. So the losses look worse for FlyQuest. And anytime FlyQuest go up against a competent opponent, they seem to have a tough time. Actually, to be fair, the further I go back in the fucking Gamer Legion games, it's not great here. Win over Bait, no. Win over Astralis, lost to Inner Circle. Win over NRG, who cares? Lost to Astralis, lost to G2. Win over 3D Max, win over Liquid. That's dysfunctional liquid, I'm pretty sure. That's liquid with twist in it still. Yeah. So, actually, Gamer Legion look fucking rough around the guts, mate.
Yeah, they've looked real haggard recently. Like, where for a team that we always talked about was awesome at just like kind of hanging in there and getting some really cool upset wins when it's needed most, and always putting together new lineups. This one has been a fucking dud.
Weird, right?
Yeah,
Maybe it's better they do let the pieces get stripped.
I think the problem is like for Aurora, like the way they're losing games in so many different ways, man. Like, and unfortunately, some of those are just losing 4v3s, 3v2s, just communication breakdowns where you feel like that happens because players are starting to, I mean, not be as focused, not be as concentrated, but that comes from like kind of just fatigue, you know, and being jaded from losing so much the same way, right? And things falling apart time and time again. You know, at Fisher, they lost to Liquid with Twist. You know, they got 2-0, man. It wasn't even close. Like, they got slapped around, right? And that there's losing, you know, to Vitality and whoever you want, Mouse, Spirit, which you can say, okay, but then there's losses that are hard to justify. And there's been a lot of those this season.
Losing is too comfortable for them. It's too easy for them to fall under. It's like a warm blanket.
And
you know?
and I think also the problem is it's like, what is the change at this point? You know, you can't like there's not really that much. Do you do a Furia and you go outside and you go like international, right? It's just they're in a rough spot. It doesn't feel like, obviously I don't think they're making any changes before the year ends, but I think something has to change after that.
If you want to go international as Aurora, you have to drop Zantares, right?
I don't know.
Because he doesn't want to learn English.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, I know he did the big clan thing, but I think part of the issue there was the barrier. It was like a major one. Yeah. You're already playing with a language barrier as well, because Major isn't fully able to wield Turkish to its fullest extent.
Yeah, apparently
that was a very nice way of saying that.
At this point, it feels like he's fine. You know, it's been a while. I don't know. Maybe
surely he's fine now. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe
he told us at the Paris major that it was usually points of inflection in like
2.5 years ago.
Like really nailing down meaning. Yeah, but I mean, you know, it's still going to be there to some extent, I would imagine.
Well, I agree with both parties. I imagine it's not perfect, but I imagine it's gotten better.
This is improved for sure.
Everyone's right.
Everyone's right. We love that.
But yeah, I don't know. I like it that there's teams that we don't see that often there. You know, we'll see Fnatic there. NIP.
Generator back.
The first time I'll see the new MIBR. A lot of these teams. So
yeah, me too.
I mean, we'll see how they go. It's an opportunity for someone like 3D Max to step up. The problem is they've played like 3D Max and Aurora. They've only had 4 days, 5 days in between tournaments. You know, same for Legacy. Like a lot of these teams will be tired. I'm looking forward to seeing if Astralis is a dead team or what's going on, because they looked like one at Pro League. So yeah, some interesting bits here.
I'm just having a look. I do Pain versus Gentlemates and Heroic versus NIP. Jason, you have 3D Max versus Saw and Aurora versus Fnatic.
Fuck yeah.
So none of us get to fight this game.
I'm going through
I
right
get Legacy Liquid and Gamer Legion FlyQuest. Legacy Liquid is the best.
Yeah, I think
feel
so.
like out of those first games.
That's fair.
I'm looking forward
trying to figure out the
one.
last time I've casted Fnatic in a game, and it
would have
maybe it would have been the perfect World Shanghai major opening stage.
I think Keita was probably still the coach. Maybe last time I cast him.
Jesus, that's almost a year.
Yeah.
Wild. All right, cool. This feels like a nice, happy place to say I'm going to go edit all these various things together. I'm going to go
Good luck,
Chad's
Jason.
tech issue together, my own tech issue together. It's going to be fun.
All right.
Okay, that was the end of the episode. However, in the midst of editing the episode, some obviously breaking news. The Mongols have announced the shock removal of Senzu from their active roster.
I thought you were going to say I got the DZSA launcher to work, so now I can play DayZ.
I should have. It was on my brain. I've been editing the whole time.
I've been working hard on that. So as is life, nothing ever really ends, Jason. That might be a feeling that really resonates with people right now in these hard times. Let's get all the info out there. Let's go to the post that the Mongols made. Okay, so here's what they said. This is from their Twitter account. Today we made the difficult decision to move Senzu to the bench. Over the past years, Senzu and the boys have together written a new chapter in Mongolian esports, showcasing world-class talent, dedication, and determination. This decision was made after careful discussions between players and management. We deeply appreciate our fans, continued support, and respect for the team as we move forward. Senzu remains an exceptional player, and we wish him nothing but success in the next chapter of his career. Now, Senzu has retweeted that with like a quote tweet. And his quote tweet reads, "I don't know what to say. It wasn't sudden. It wasn't sudden decision." I don't know. Okay.
It's gonna be broken English,
yeah,
right? So
true.
I mean, at least it's not like AI. At least he's putting some thought into it when he's writing.
So
it
I'll
out.
try this again. I don't know what to say. It wasn't sudden decision. It feels like I'm leaving my home. We made a lot of memories together. I wish all the best things for my beloved ones. My apologies to the ones who support us for bad news. If you guys didn't give me this great opportunity, there wouldn't be today's me. I just want to say thanks for everything. So sorry for everything. And that's it. That's what he said. That's all we got.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, obviously none of us have great, insight into the Mongols operation, but I think, look, obviously all this is going to be speculation and completely baseless opinion. So just fair warning to everyone coming in from that, which we love. I guess if I look at this from putting together like the recent practice trends of them like not even preparing for events, going back and having time at home, this feels like there's an area where I would point to saying Senzu is having a tough time being separated from family, from friends, the lifestyle that goes along with it, dedication to wanting to practice and motivation to wanting to practice might have been waning. And these are big leaps, so nobody take this as any kind of gospel. And maybe that was part of the reason why the Mongols were finding it a hard time to like go to boot camps or go practice for events, and eventually just caught up with them.
Potentially. I just want to grab a couple of little nuggets right here.
Mizinho put one out as well. It's been hell of a ride with my lifetime friend. He's with me since my day one. We were talking about our own stickers in game at the age of 12, 13, and I'm so happy that we've made it to major final. Life goes on. Wish all the best for my dear friend. So, like it feels like there's not any like moment explosion or any like bad feelings necessarily. Maybe in some of the other guys, but who knows, because I don't expect them to be super active on Twitter anyways to begin with. It almost feels like this is something that's just been building up for a while, that I guess like he just couldn't find that spark back. And maybe it comes down to like, I could see a world in which a Blitz or Amara as some of like the kind of brains behind the team putting in some work or wanting more dedicated players to it.
I did think it was weird because earlier in the day I saw like Senzu's Instagram account and the name was changed to Despair999. And I looked at the story and he got rid of all the pictures and everything that was up there. And I was like, what the fuck's going on here? So I just thought, 19-year-old doing the emo boy thing. But obviously there's more to it. I just checked the stats. So the entire time that they're together, they played 415 maps. Over those 415 maps, Senzu was the highest rated player for the team at 1.12 rating. So he statistically their best player. Normally these situations are more than just stats, right? This doesn't just happen.
Yes.
But like this, especially when someone who seems as talented as him. I'm trying to think outside of that, right? Like I don't know. We know that there's the Huns, right? The Atox team, most of their players got banned. The people are already saying like no cries, which would be crazy, right? Like, and I thought there would be an issue with him communicating. I thought I read something somewhere that his Mongolian wasn't necessarily the best. Maybe that's not true.
I can't imagine Mongolian's easy to learn either.
Well, that's the thing. But he has a Mongolian flag and is from the Buryat region or
right.
whatever it is. Right. I apologize if I'm offending anybody of that ethnicity. But yeah, it's one of those things. So right now I'm going on HLTV, I'm going regional rankings, I'm going Asia, I'm going under Mongolia. So you've got the Mongols, you've got the Huns, you've got Chinggis Warriors, you've got Eruption, you've got Nomads, the Cube, and IHC, right? So like you think like who the fuck is next up? Does Score come back? Can they even do that? Isn't he playing the major? Aren't the Huns at the major?
Yeah, he can if he's at the major for them. And also, you need to have like the 5 matches.
Oh no, that doesn't matter. They can have a sub, right?
Oh yeah, they can.
Be fine.
That's right.
Is it somebody from Chinggis Warriors? When if it's somebody from Chinggis Warriors, then who?
Well, this is what's weird. Is like you're looking at this as if it's like an actual like. Do you think he's like this decision is happening because he wants to switch teams?
No, like I don't think Senzu wants to switch teams. I think they're benching him because something's not working. Like, if you look at their last run of events, right? So they come out of the player break. They don't practice for Cologne. They bomb out, right? Like,
Right.
well, they don't bomb out. They make it to the playoffs.
They don't
right?
bomb out.
But after being in the major finals, I imagine that in comparison must feel like bombing out. They go to Blast Bounty, they come second. They go to EWC, they win it. They go to Fisher, they come second. They go to EPL, they don't make it out of the groups. They go to Thunderpick, they come third. What? Like, the results don't like.
But that's why I'm saying that's how, for me, it feels like it's got to come down to this whole situation about them. What events did they not boot camp for? Right, it was Cologne, Pro League they didn't play leading into.
Fisher as well.
Fisher, like, I don't remember the exact events, but I think when you start having like 3 like events in like a big part of different parts of the season that you're not even practicing or boot camping for, and you're going home and doing other things and getting some relaxing, I don't know, that feels to me that, you know, at some point it's something not working is more in the side of the operation of the team. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, such wild speculation, but that from experience, these situations to me, because you don't just like bench your best player statistically, who's been your star for quite some time, who is on the rise, over something small. And if it's a motivation is waning, that's kind of the only thing I can point to outside of something personal that Senzu just said, I can't do this anymore.
There's some, I'm just reading, like, I made a tweet and it's getting a bunch of replies. Now, obviously, these are from people who we're not going to be able to verify. These aren't like official accounts or anything. These are just, like, one person says, in fact, Senzu has received a huge number of negative comments from both domestic and international fans. He even said that people were attacking him in all his private chats because that he lost the motivation to play, and even mentioned several times that he might retire. You know, there's someone here going, it was his decision, but we'll be back in a year or two. It's like these accounts, they're just like absolutely nothing accounts.
Yeah.
But maybe they were watching like a Senzu stream or something in Mongolian that I don't know. Like, obviously right now.
Yeah, maybe there's interviews, social media over whatever it might be over there.
Yeah, and these guys love fucking streaming. Like they remember after the EWC thing, they were immediately streaming like Minecraft and stuff. So I don't know. It's obviously very shocking news, especially with Chengdu just around the corner and with the major just after that, right?
Yeah.
So being able to weigh up the tail end of the year. So there's two framings. Well, there's maybe more than two. There's 3. There's the one you were talking about in terms of not willing to make the sacrifice necessary for them to get the proper practice in Europe. There's an angle that Mara is not happy with the way things are progressing, and as the team discussed it, maybe they don't feel like Senzu's, you know, I'd be completely speculating, but there could be one of a bunch of reasons, right, why they feel that they needs to go. And then you'd look at Mara, who's made some big decisions in the past, right? Remember, they got rid of Score, they got rid of what was his name, Haseka, they got rid of Bartak. Like, they were pretty cutthroat with some of their changes, which helped them get to this position. So you go, okay, well, let's like, there's more people replying to this shit, bro. Someone just said it would be cool to see Score. And then the guy replies to him and says, Mara said he would not coach/play with Score again. Like, none of this is official. These are literally egg accounts on fucking on Twitter.
Yeah, but it's part of the charm of the team coming out of Mongolia, right? It's a scene that we don't really have access to and don't pay a whole lot of attention to. So maybe there are a few of the guys that really are active in the Mongolian scene who have this gossip or this perspective.
Yeah, maybe.
So, but take it all with a grain of salt. I like that you mentioned the previous moves that the Mongols have had to make, though, when we've always questioned, like, how the fuck do you keep finding talent in Mongolia? How do you keep making these roster changes and picking up new talent? That's one of the first thoughts that came to my mind was, like, on some level, it's crazy, it's insane, it's extremely shocking, it's like a what the fuck thing to have happen. But I mean, they've made good decisions in the past with these kind of shocking roster moves and picking up gems, and if they feel like they can do it again, like, gotta give them some credit. It's been part of the fun of watching this team.
Yeah,
over years.
Yeah, for sure. Right. I guess just when you see you're at the height, but if they're willing to make the tough decisions to make these type of changes, that's where we would criticize teams who have been great in the past, who have not been willing to make the tough decisions and have kind of lingered too long. Obviously, these guys haven't achieved anywhere near that grandeur that we'd be talking about with like a Fnatic or a VP or an NIP, right?
But they have experienced grandeur in the sense that they are like the first Asian team to really like plant the flag and be like, we're going to be consistent contenders, you know, like winning an S tier event over the best teams in the world, winning EWC. Like, we've been waiting for the arrival of an Asian team, and these guys were that team. So they've at least got grandeur in the sense that they were the standard bearer for the entire region for the past year.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. I also think like there's something that doesn't get spoken a lot about with Senzu, but he was embroiled in like some scamming stuff with skins or whatever before he became like a pro. So
Okay.
you wonder if there's any.
Catching up with him.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm just trying to bring all of the facts that we know about him. Well, not even facts. I guess some of it is just rumors, right? Or maybe not rumors is
Yeah.
the best word, but either way, it's the news of the day. So yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. It's hard to really go too much further than that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So we'll just end it there.
All right.
And obviously, next we'll get some more news. We got some more to talk about.
Yeah, sweet. All right.
Peace.
Goodbye.